Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We are live from the Omani Hall, Labadi Beach Hotel here in Accra. This is the JoyNews National Dialogue on Illegal Mining. We are live on JoyNews. We are live on Joy 99.7 FM in Accra, in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. We're on myjoyonline.com and all our social media platforms. We've got you covered. This evening's National Dialogue aims to explore radical solutions to a national crisis. Together with our partners, WaterAid and the Ghana National Chamber of Mines, I welcome you warmly to this groundbreaking thought leadership event, which has been conceived in response to the distressing ecological degradation caused by illegal mining, what we've come to know as galamsey. So from the Omanye Hall, mihanye umanye, kuni umanye ablao. At this point, it's a good time to say a quick prayer. And we are asking for the presence and wisdom of the Almighty, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit for a successful execution of this dialogue for the good of our country and Ghana and even our neighbors and friends as well. Amen, if you wish. Now, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may I inform you that it will be a cinema experience at some point. But this cinema experience, there will be no need for popcorn. And I ought to warn you also that after that, you may look at water twice before drinking. But all the same, it's a true story. It's not filmed. It's not an acting. It's a true story that highlights the harsh reality, which serves not only as an expose, but as a clarion call for urgent action and collective responsibility. At this point, I feel like saying Chobwe, but I'll hold on to that later. But it's a very intriguing 10-minute documentary, which is the result of weeks of fearless investigation led by none other. I'm proud to call him my colleague, is the PAV Answer Journalist of the Year, Erastus Asaredonko, and his dedicated team. It's a good time to give them a round of applause for this wonderful work that they've done. We call it Poison for Gold. If there was a movie, I'm sure I've done a lot of spoiler alert already. So I'll hold on at this point, and I know I've said enough. So let me now invite, with a warm round of applause, I see that you've done it, and I'm sure it will gain momentum as we go along the line. Let's welcome, with a round of applause, Acting General Manager, Joy Brands, Francis Fifi Kumsen, to give us the opening remarks.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, panelists, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for availing yourselves for this event today. It is deeply concerning the devastation being visited on communities through illegal mining in Ghana. Our recent documentary that MFR Apawu just spoke about, Poisoned for Gold, has shed light on the environmental degradation, health hazards, and the social upheaval caused by galamsey. The images and stories that you'll be seeing present a very dark picture of what our reality really is. The damage inflicted on our water bodies, agricultural lands, and the overall ecosystem is alarming, posing a severe threat, not only to the present, but also to the future generations of our beloved nation. It is important that we take immediate and decisive action to address the impact of illegal mining in Ghana. This national dialogue, organized by JoyNews, has brought together key stakeholders, experts, and policymakers to engage in a constructive dialogue on finding sustainable solutions. We cannot afford to turn a blind eye to the environmental degradation and health crisis caused by illegal mining. Those who live along the Oti, Ofin, Pra, and Ankobra should be able to drink from the same rivers safely. Together, let us embark on a journey towards a future where the selfish pursuit of wealth does not come at the expense of our people's well-being. Once again, thank you and welcome.
Please, let's do it better. Joy Brands, Acting General Manager, Francis Fifi Kumsing. With the welcome address done, I must remind you once again, if you're just joining us, we are live on the Joy News channel on Joy 99.7 FM, all our social media platforms. I don't know how many you know, but we are live on X Spaces, we are on Facebook with live updates on our WhatsApp channels, TikTok, Snapchat. I don't know which generation you are in, but every platform that there are, because I know they are new every day. But you can join us with the hashtag JoyNews National Dialogue. It's a good time to get interactive. It's JoyNews National Dialogue. It's just for you as well. So join us with the hashtag wherever you are. And this national dialogue is made possible because of great and fruitful partnerships. Let's give a huge round of applause to WaterAid and to Ghana National Chamber of Mines for partnering a worthy cause. Please, let's do it better for them. And at this point, let's welcome, whilst we are doing that, for the country director, WaterAid, Irabna Yani Akafo. Please do it better for her. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed partners, and fellow advocates for a sustainable future. I stand before you this evening as WaterAid Country Director, but also as a citizen who is very much deeply concerned about the future of our water resources and forest. Today, we gather here to witness the unveiling of Poison for Gold, a documentary that exposes the harrowing consequences of illegal mining on our cherished land and water resources. These activities have ravaged our forest and polluted our water, the very lifeblood of our nation. And we owe our gratitude to Erastus Asaridonko and his team for their daring journalism, shining a light on this dark issue. Their work is not just a documentary, it is a wake-up call once again, urging each and every one of us to stand up against the destruction of our natural heritage. The crisis we face today demands more than words. It calls for immediate, decisive action and a sustainable policy reforms that will make lasting impact. Our past efforts in combating illegal mining, through well-intentioned, have been fleeting. We need a steadfast commitment to not just clear our waters temporarily, but to sustain this clarity for generations to come. While we combat illegal mining as a collective responsibility, the power to end this crisis rests largely with the government and our political leaders. As CSOs and as development partners, we play our part, but it takes solid political will to eradicate this issue permanently and secure the future of generations unborn. Ladies and gentlemen, discussing illegal mining is often a taboo, especially for development partners and for CSOs, due to its political nature. Organizations risk being labeled partisan for addressing the laxity in handling illegal mining. However, if speaking up means being tagged to effect change, we shouldn't hesitate. Future generations are counting on us, and history will judge our inaction. In line with our advocacy priorities, WaterAid Ghana has launched the Climate Change, Water and Me campaign. As climate change exacerbates the water crisis, our duty is to respond with resilience. The extreme weather conditions, characterized by high temperature and flooding, significantly influence water availability. This situation is further exacerbated by illegal mining activities, which not only intensify these issues, but also contribute to an accelerated rate of environmental destruction. The combined impact of these factors is proving to even be more detrimental than the effect of climate change alone. Illegal mining should concern everyone, regardless of where you live, because the effect extends far and wide. For example, water poisoning means Ghana Water Company incurs higher treatment costs, leading to increased tariffs for all of us. Similarly, the food that we eat, the fish that we buy, some of these are coming from areas where illegal mining is affecting. I can offer countless reasons why you and I should actively oppose to illegal mining in Ghana. What is happening in Galamsey affected areas is an extreme act of violence against our water resources. It is a hydrocide. This is genocide against generations, and silence only aids our oppressors, illegal miners and their facilitators. It is time for us to take a joint action and not just words. In closing, today's event is more than a screening. It is a call to actively shape our nation's future and water resources. Let's watch, listen, and above all, let's act. Thank you.
Irabna Yayi Akofo, thank you so much. We'll now welcome remarks from the Ghana Chamber of Mines. We have the Chief Executive of the Chamber, Dr. Suleiman Akoni, for his remarks as well. Please give him a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to all of us. Distinguished guests, and I can see some distinguished personalities of the land here, former ministers of state recognized. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you compliments from the Ghana Chamber of Mines. The Ghana Chamber of Mines is excited to be a part of this event, which is to highlight the menace of illegal mining and to generate actionable solutions for implementation by duty bearers to protect and rehabilitate affected areas. A key objective of the Chamber is to provide thought leadership for the solution of mining-related issues in our dear country. Over the years, the Chamber of Mines has been actively involved in the quest to protect our natural resources, especially minerals, from illegal exploitation, as it leads to the wanton degradation of the environment. However, we concede at this moment that the fight against this canker needs the active support of all Ghanaians, since its negative impact affects the whole country and future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, to eradicate illegal mining in Ghana, the Ghana Chamber of Mines has taken some initiatives to minimize or eradicate the illicit activity completely. As a research-based advocacy group, we commissioned research sometime in 2010 into the mainstreaming of artisanal and small-scale mining into the sector to give us a better understanding of the inherent issues. This study made some far-reaching recommendations which were shared with governments for consideration. A key recommendation which I'm quite passionate about and which I believe is still relevant today has to do with the need for us to do some basic geological investigation before parceling out land for mining, whether it's large-scale mining or small-scale mining. In fact, in the case of large-scale mining, which we actually represent as an industry, it is a prerequisite to have exploration done through feasibility, a bankable feasibility, before you approach Minerals Commission and then our sector minister for a lease. I think it's important that we get to know to some level of certainty regarding what is under the belly of the earth before we parcel out. Otherwise, this wanton destruction of our environment will continue. If the grantees of mineral rights for any form of mining have no clue as to what is within the concession, what do you expect? When he digs, he mines, he processes, and he gets nothing. Do you expect this company or this individual to go to the bank and borrow money to rehabilitate? Certainly no. Therefore, for us, it's about mimicking what we have for large-scale mining. The whole idea of FDI, like I've always said, is to really appreciate and understand how we can learn from it and adapt that for our own good. Ladies and gentlemen, issues of environment and sustainability are of keen interest to the Chamber. We have taken steps to ensure that our members implement best practices in their operations. Environmental protection and social development are key factors in the responsible operations of our member companies, which are mainly the large-scale mining firms in Ghana, as I have already intimated. To underscore the importance of this, we have since 2021 introduced the Best Green Mining Company category at the Ghana Mining Industry Awards, in addition to the overarching environmental performance category. It's our view that as the mining industry grows in this country, there is the need to adopt strategies and programs that seek to protect and sustain our environments whilst meeting the needs of stakeholders today and into the future. Ladies and gentlemen, our environment is under siege, no two ways about it. And based upon my years of experience, given what I know and what I see, and the experiences we've gathered over the years, next year is an election year. Next year is what? An election year. And it keeps some of us awake. Because we all know around that time, duty bearers look the other way. And if even before then, this is what we have, you can imagine what we'll have when we go into an election year. So we need to mobilize all the resources we have. And for me, this conversation is timely. My expectation is that it will not be like one of those. And I like the fact that our target and our objective is actionable solutions. Actionable solutions, so that we can persuade duty bearers to help us find solutions to this canker. Let me assure everyone here that the Chamber will continue to advocate for sustainable mining practices, as well as support all national efforts to protect our rivers and farmlands, whilst at the same time creating jobs and other related value for the country. We believe that small-scale mining can and should be done legally with the right support and backed by proper exploration to delineate viable areas for mining. For us, that is the critical point. Our brothers and sisters who do small-scale mining need all the support. It is backed by law, even as we are looking at how to eradicate illegal mining. I think it's also important that we look at that sector and see the kind of support systems you can put in place. Because for us, illegal mining, yes, it is a menace, but it also provides an opportunity as a country to migrate them into the formal sector. So even as we are trying to find solutions for illegal mining, let's see how best we can mainstream proper small-scale mining, as happens in other jurisdictions, so that once they are mainstream, we know we are getting the very best for ourselves as a country and for our brothers and sisters who are involved in small-scale mining. I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Suleiman Akone, CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Mines. And also to you, Water Aid, we are really grateful and we look forward to stronger and long-lasting partnerships as well. As we go along the line, I will start acknowledging the presence of our dignitaries here present at the Omani Hall at the Labadi Beach Hotel. We are at a crucial moment of this dialogue as we speak, and it is my pleasure to hand over the microphone to a man whom we all know as a physician and a cardiothoracic surgeon. You can notice that I took my time with that. He's a cardiothoracic surgeon by profession and a passionate environmentalist at heart. He led the Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology at some point and was made chairman of the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining. He's no stranger to all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome with a huge round of applause the one and only Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng with his presentation. Thank you, sir. So we'll be using this one. Yes, you will move. Thank you. And please leave the microphone close to you for a bit. Thanks.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of parliament, dignitaries here present. My name is Kwabena Frimpong Boateng. These are my slides. A young lady, Shari Maxson in Australia, said that we live in a time when intelligent people are being silenced so that stupid people won't be offended. Next slide. Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to do that. So, at some point, I chaired the Interministerial Committee for Illegal Mining, and I think my friend and big brother, is that Cameron? Cameron Dodu, well, welcome. We defined what illegal mining was. Mining in riverbeds, that is dredging, mining on the river banks, mining in forest reserves, land degradation, non-reclamation of land, foreigners involved in small-scale mining, and use of dangerous chemicals such as cyanide, and improper use of approved chemicals. This is how we define illegal mining, whether committed by small scale or large scale. So you know this slide, so I mean, you'll be seeing more of these things, so I'll not talk much about it, no comment. Where should I point this thing? Here? Please, where should I point it to? Where? Anywhere. But these are the dredging machines on the water bodies. But these are things that we may not see in the documentary. These are men from our task force cleaning the water bodies. So there were debris, tree trunks, everything in the rivers. We tried to clean it up. And so this is where we are. You know, as I said, it also to show us more of these things. I'll just rush through. And some of the bad things happening, you know, we undermine power lines and undermine the roads that we build as well. It's not only the forest, but our very important infrastructure is undermined and destroyed. And this was presented by my Joy Online. Joy, you did this in 2017. This is somebody on his cocoa farm, his own cocoa farm. It's called Kwesi Nyako, and he lives in Wasam Memphis district. And this is Kwesi and the children and the wife on the cocoa farm. They say they're not getting much from the cocoa farm, so they are doing their own mining on their farm. This thing has been going on for a very long time. These slides I borrowed from Professor Osman Ansansomua, who passed away many years ago. This is from 2014. You know, alluvial mining in Apia and Kwanta and Dabuase, Chufupraso and Dunkanofin, 2014. These pictures are from 2014. And this is degraded land at Kobiso and River Pra, Chufupraso, and the water was not flowing at all, 2014. And this is Brim River. This is from 2018. And you see, the Brim River has changed its course. The course has been diverted several times. So the Brim River, as you know it, is no longer a Brim River. I wanted to go through this quickly. This is somebody, Chinese, who has settled in Wasa, Ekropon, enjoying his breakfast and doing his illegal mining. Yes. Now, this slide shows the river basins in Ghana. And you can see that most of the river basins are affected. The White Water Basin, which also takes in the red water. There's Galamsey going on, not as much as here in the southwest. And then the Black Water, Pra, and Cobra, and so on, all these rivers, apart from the main water lake and the Afram rivers. But even the water lake, one can say that there is some disturbances going on because of the fact that the white water is the main source feeding the water lake. So if you look at the water basins in this country, most of them have been affected. So the rivers, you can't paddle any canoe on them. Speedboats are useless. And we heard that the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources imported speedboats. Who have seen them on the water bodies before? They cannot function on those water bodies because the water is not good for anything. You can't drink it. You can't wash with it. You can't cook with it. No bathing. Irrigation and watering of gardens, not possible. Watering of animals, impossible. Fish and other aquatic creatures poisoned or dead. And the animals are poisoned or dead. And tree crops are also polluted. So what is the use of our rivers? Ghana is the only country where you have rivers where they are no use. So we also have loss of biodiversity. There's physical danger, apart from the physical danger to humans and animals. Maybe you fall in pits and get drowned. We have polluted land farms, farmlands, loss of edibles such as mushrooms, snails, wild yams, plantain, and bananas. Then loss of habitat of many animals and reptiles. Bears, especially bears that nest on high trees, like vultures and eagles, especially vultures. Now, how many of you have seen vultures in your area recently? When was the last time you saw a vulture? And you see, when you see the vultures dying, it's only a question of time that human beings also start dying. Because these are the scavengers. They pick up dead things so that we don't get sick. But now they've lost their habitat and their food sources, so they are dying. Even the snakes in the bush, there is a snake in South America called Botrop jararaca. That is a viper. When it bites you, you die from shock. Your blood pressure will drop and will die. Scientists worked on that venom, and through that, they were able to produce a medication against high blood pressure. That was the basis of lisinopril. As you know, some of you may be taking lisinopril. So even the reptiles in the bush are useful, if you only want to know how to make them useful. So, and then ground nesting bears that nest on the ground. I mean, they have no future. They are gone. Akokohiria and all those things. This is what we are doing to ourselves. So, but the immediate effect is that I've seen somebody who comes from Mansour Saman, who is here with me, I just saw him. If you go there, there's little or no farming activities because farming is not profitable. You don't do it. Farmland is sold to Galamsey operators. Cocoa farms sell for between 30,000 and 50,000 cedis per acre, and they are selling them. Arable lands are already mined out. Scarcity of plantain, cassava, and cocoyam. Cultivation of vegetables not advisable, and I'll tell you why later on. Tomatoes, pepper, onion are all purchased in Kumasi. Maize is cheaper in Kumasi. This is happening now. So when we destroy our forests and our farmlands, what happens? These plants take in the carbon dioxide that we breathe out and give us oxygen that we breathe in. So they are more or less our lungs. So if we are destroying the forests and farmlands, we are destroying our lungs. And then our food, all our food, 90% will come from the forest or the farmlands. So we'll be destroying our supermarket. And 25% of the drugs that we use in hospital now are from herbs. Apart from that, there are herbal preparations. So these plants are our pharmacies as well. So as we destroy the greens that we see, we'll be destroying our lungs, we'll be destroying our supermarkets and our pharmacies. Well, and there are toxic metals. I'll not go through them, but the important ones are mercury, lead, and cadmium. We all know the side effects of mercury inhalation and cadmium poisoning and so on. So I'll skip this one for the time being. So when you see hyperpigmentation caused by arsenic exposure, this is how it is. And it's very prevalent in the western region, where in Takwa, for example, as far as back as 2014, 38% of all the surface water was polluted, and about 30% of groundwater was also polluted. That was 2014. And this is black foot disease caused by arsenic poison. I have to rush. Yeah, so these are examinations that CSIR did in the Lower Prague Basin in 2014. At that time, the levels of mercury were very high. The safe levels are 0.002 milligram per liter. But if you look at certain areas in the Prague Basin, it exceeded the safe limits. So also lead. But cadmium was just normal. That was 2014. We need to do some more studies to know the level now. So I said that it would be very dangerous to eat vegetables, especially salads, greens from mining areas because of the pollution. And that is why we do what we call phytoremediation. And I think the Minister of Agriculture should think about these things. we need to plant certain things that to absorb or take out the poison, the metals in the body. So we know that if you plant sunflower, it will absorb magnesium and chromium. Broccoli, cabbage and broccoli will take care of lead, zinc, and cadmium. So also water lettuce, which will absorb cadmium, mercury, chromium, and copper. And then water hyacinth will take care of the rest. So it will be unwise for anybody living in the mining areas to plant things. You will poison yourself. And so we think that Ministry of Agriculture should look at these things as we fight illegal mining, to go into areas where we can gradually absorb. You have to plant this in cycles, maybe 10, 20 cycles, so that the level of poisons will come down. Meanwhile, Chinese people are helping us destroy our farmlands, but they are growing cocoa. Seriously. This is cocoa from China, and it's grown on Hainan Island. I'll tell you some more. You see, you all read it. October 15th, 2020, China exported a batch of 500 kilograms of cocoa beans worth 3,000 euro, about $3,600 to Belgium. 500 kilograms. The cocoa was produced by this company on the Hainan Island, which is in the South China Sea, which are the same climate as Ghana, almost. Now, compare what the Chinese sold to what we got from our cocoa, which was 2,600 per 1,000 grams, 1,000 kilograms. So theirs was more expensive than ours. Now, keep those figures in mind. It was in 1885 that Ghana exported its first cocoa, 500 kilograms, or 10 bags. Then in 1911, not too long after that, Ghana became the #1 producer when we produced only 41,000 tons of cocoa. And we remained #1 until 1987 when Brazil took over, and then we again, and then went over to Ivory Coast in 1978. Since then, we are lost. So remember, the Chinese exported 500 kilograms recently, and we did the same thing in 1885, and a few years later, we became the #1 producer with 41,000 tons. Now, right now, cocoa production is being devastated. It's going down, especially in the western region, western north, through the CSSVD, that is the cocoa showing shoot virus disease. Over aged moribund trees, loss of farmlands to galamsey, soil and water pollution are causing cocoa production to go down. But this thing is. So, on the 3rd of April 2020, the Minister of Food and Agriculture said that because of the scourge of swollen shoot disease, Ghana will achieve about 700,000 tons of production that year, which was below the targeted 1 million tons for that year. So we have realized that the cocoa production is going down. And then again, on the 13th of August 2020, Graphic Online reported that within the last decade, cocoa production in Western North region has dropped from 340,000 tons to 140,000 tons, a development attributed mainly to swollen shoot disease. So our production is going down. So now this is Hainan Island. That is a red dot beneath China. Area of 33,000 square kilometers. That's about 14% the size of Ghana. Population 8 million. Climate mostly tropical. Between temperature 25, 29. And that is the site of where they land their satellites. The crops that are producing now are cocoa, oil palm, pepper, lemongrass, cashew, sugarcane, and cocoa. Meanwhile, they are producing cassava, plenty of it. And they have the machinery to process the cassava. China is... I need help. Who can help me? Please, can you do it from your end? So when I raise my hand, you change it. Yes, so I'll be finished very soon. This is Gary produced from China. And when they are advertising it, do you know what they say? Produced from unpolluted land. That's how they sell their Gary in Europe. China is a major producer of Gary. And these are other things that they produce. Pawpaw, pineapple, avocado, coconut, watermelon, and all the things that you see around are produced in Hainan. Now, I'm going to ask a question. What is a narco state? A narco state is a country whose economy is dependent on the trade in illegal drugs. A narco state, as we find in some countries, somewhere in America, a country whose economy is dependent upon the trade in illegal gold mining. Next slide. So Galamsey State is a country in the grip of illegal gold mining whose economy appears to be dependent on illegal gold trade. Can we say that? Can we define Galamsey State as being that? A country in the grip of illegal gold mining whose economy appears to be dependent on illegal gold trade. Next slide. Is Ghana a Galamsey State? So, I'm come to an end. So, for those who want to destroy the earth, Ghana, this is what the book of the Bible says in Revelation chapter 11 and verse 18. It says, the nations were angry, and your wrath has come. The time has come for judging the dead and for rewarding your servants, the prophets, and your people who revere you, your name, both great and small, and for destroying those who destroy the earth. If we believe in God and we do a lot of things for him, build churches and do other things for him, and this is what I'm saying. This is what the Bible is saying. Next slide. I thank you for your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Kwabena Frimpong-Boateng with that presentation. You can do it better for him. We'll be joined shortly via Zoom by the Minister in charge of Lands and Natural Resources, currently attending the COP in Dubai. He will join us shortly via Zoom with his keynote address. Then we can get into the panel discussion. But remember, we're live on the Joy News channel on Joy 99.7 FM. I'm looking for the man that he comes from the same town with at this point. I want to have a quick interaction with you. Prof, did you see the man that you come from the same hometown with in Manso? Did you find him? No, you mentioned that you come from the same hometown with the man. He's here. Okay, welcome, sir. Well, so he's been painting the picture, at least in his hometown to us. I'm sure you can back it. No, in your hometown. What was the situation, you say?
In Manso, Asamai, I think it's a predominantly Galamsey area. They have been operating this from their ancestors. And when you come to the area, you find the small-scale mining as their trade and craft, because it has been handed over from generations to generations. And the people are so much involved, and they have no interest in farming activities, because they get less when they want to do farming. And by the absence of this illegal mining, the whole area has been destroyed, and it's not sustainable for other agriculture practices.
Well, this is an area that my colleague Erastus Asaridonko has mentioned a number of times. And ladies and gentlemen, it's a good time to introduce the PAV Answer Journalist of the Year, Erastus Asaridonko. You have to join me at this point before we do the screening. Please, Erastus, come. You're welcome, Erastus. We've heard a lot about Manso, and you've heard Prof also talk about it, but we'll be getting into the panel discussion. Let me not get ahead of myself. But this introduction for the screening, you would have to do it. we would want to talk about your experiences. Many would want to hear, we've talked about it severally, but we would want to hear exactly what you and your team went through, which period you had to go through to do this particular work. We know Distraction for Gold, now Poison for Gold. Let's talk a bit about what the team went through to put this together.
Well, thank you very much, and good evening to you all. Prof has said a lot. In fact, he initiated me into this whole Galamsey fight, starting with following inter-ministerial committee around. And before then, I was also following other, under former President Mahama's task force. I've been following them around as well. We've gone through a lot to produce Distraction for Gold. And it took us 6 months to do that. And then for Poison for Gold, it took us about the same, 6 months to do that. And we had to go through deep into forest areas where there is no network. If something should happen to you, maybe you can send a bird or something to notify somebody. And my team and I met a number of people armed to the teeth, destroying forest land, water, what have you. At a point in time, I remember at Datano, close to Samre Boy, they had designed the entrance to where they were mining within the forest, and they had redirected the Tano River, and they were polluting it. In fact, their washing bay was at the edge of it, and they were washing directly into the river. But they have designed the entrance with bullet shells. And there was somebody at the gate. He was armed to the teeth. In fact, I thought he was going for war. He had pistols all over, bullets strung around his neck. He was holding an AK. And he met us. He said, "You don't do journalism here. So turn around and leave." And we had to leave. Just like that. He just mentioned it and turned around to leave. So we also went to a higher ground, flew the drone, captured what we had to capture. At a point they were shooting at the drone, we had to call it back and move. We faced some of these things many times, but we felt it as a duty to bring to the attention of Ghanaians, to duty bearers, what is happening in the hinterlands. Before then, we were hearing it, that Galamsey is destroying our forests, is destroying our water bodies, but we're not seeing the evidence. So we wanted to really document it, and that's exactly what we've done. But I must say that as we speak, currently, as we sit here, you go to Kokosia Forest Reserve, it's close to Seshi, Debiso. The forest is under siege as we speak. In fact, I had live pictures from there yesterday. Even the forestry officials cannot fight them. They are fully armed. And it's been done by somebody who is very powerful. I won't mention his name, but he knows himself. The place is called Sairano. There's another place within a forest reserve. They are mining as we speak. It's a forest reserve. They call the place in Mrewa, close to Sefi Bekwai. When you go to Watreso in Amansie, the Pamprama Forest Reserve, that side of it is still being pillaged as we speak. So sometimes when I hear the narrative that we have cordoned off all forest reserves and we are protecting it, it's a joke. It's a serious joke. I don't know why we do that to ourselves. At least, let's speak the truth. The beginning of wisdom is to start calling things by their real names. We are destroying our forest. You go to Atiwa, as Sejimase, you go deep into that biodiversity area, illegal miners have taken over. They have started destroying it. I'm saying it because we've been there. And so, as we speak, Shamfan machines sitting on the Ankobra from Pristia to Axim, they are there. Yeah. On the offing, you can count over 300 of them. Even yesterday in Dunkwao, about 15 of them at the railway line area are sitting on the river and their mining.
Okay.
And so I think that we should begin to take this more seriously as we judge today, find solutions and how we can end this. Is our existence.
So you keep your eyes focused on the screens. If you're listening on radio, it's time for the screening. It's a 10-minute documentary. It's a long documentary, but we managed to put it together into 10 minutes for you to paint the picture to you. At this point, Poison for Gold will be screened. Thank you.
Water is life. And we can liken that to the blood in the human body. It circulates to every part of the body and makes it function. Imagine polluted blood or contaminated blood.
If you're here, please join us on stage. Okay, he will join us shortly. Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, convener, Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, is also here with us, joining us on stage. We also have Dr. Albert Kwabena Mensah, research scientist, CSIR, Soil Research Institute in Kumasi. He'll be joining us via Zoom, whilst we wait also for Dr. Ken Ashigbe and Dr. Bon Mantel to join us on stage. I'd like to also acknowledge the presence of some men and women also here invited, joining us for this particular illegal mining dialogue. We have Dr. Suleiman Akone, of course, our partners, the Chief Executive, National Ghana Chamber of Mines, I should say. We also have Country Director, Water Aid, Irabna Nyanyi Akofu. Thank you so much for your partnership. We also have, you've been seeing already, Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng, former Minister of Environment, Science and Technology. You'll be chipping in as a part of our sub-panelists as well. We also have in our midst Richard Selome, is a General Secretary, Ghana Medical Association. Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, please join us on stage. Thank you. We have representatives also from the Small Scale Miners Association here with us as well. We also have Stanley Mate, Director of Communications, Ghana Water Company, joining us all the way from Dubai via Zoom as well, also joining us. And thankfully also we have in our midst Honorable Inusa Fuseni, former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources. We want to see you, please. Please give him a round of applause for us. Thank you. Professor Paul Osei Sampini, you heard him in that documentary, Poison for Gold, played a key role in there. He's a pathologist and senior lecturer at KNUST. He's here in our midst. Please, can we see you? Thank you so much for your contribution to this. We have Awila Sewa, Executive Director, Eco-Conscious Citizens. Thank you so much for joining us here also. We also have Professor Emmanuel Ahin. He's a geologist, University of Energy and Natural Resources, also joining us. Can we see you, please? Thank you very much for joining us. We also have representation from Parliament, and we are grateful for your presence. Mohammed A. Suparu, MP for Sisala West. Thank you so much for joining us. He's a member of the Lands and Forestry Committee in Parliament. We also have Kotia Nuruddin Abubakar Bitis, Administrative Assistant to Dr. Rashid Pelpo. Thank you so much for representing him. We have members of the media, we have you, we have great panelists and members of the community here. We also have Joyce Akufo. She's the Director of Communications Forestry Commission. I saw your reaction when Erastus was speaking. Thank you so much for joining us. It's a good time to start the panel discussion at this point. But I don't know, I would quickly want to take some comments from members of the audience. I must say we have Madame Emma Morrison also in our midst. Please, let's give it up for Madame Emma Morrison of Goldfields. Thank you. So I don't know if you can give me some quick reaction in terms of what you saw so far, though it was truncated, maybe in no particular order, just random thoughts on what you saw so far before I can hear from my panel members. So I have a man in spectacle there. I'll walk to you briefly, just a quick comment, quick reaction to what you saw.
My name is Cameron Duodu, journalist. I would like to suggest to my fellow media people that this is a battle for the people of Ghana and not for the educated people of Ghana. Therefore, don't say illegal mining, which the illiterate people cannot easily repeat. Say galamsey, and they understand it. If you can take that with you, I'll be very happy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dodu. So there's another gentleman there, quickly.
Yes, I think to add to what he has just said, I was there at the presentations of Dr. Connie, Professor Primpom Boatin, and Erastus. Three phrases are confusing us. What is small-scale mining? And what is illegal mining? Going forward, we should be able to see these differences.
Okay.
In which office do you refer to it as small-scale mining? And in which office do you refer to it as what?
Illegal mining.
Illegal mining.
Okay.
Going forward.
Okay. Professor Frimpong Boatin wants to add that quickly before we get into our panel discussion. Looks like it's going to be a long night. There's a lot of contribution in here.
I think it's a very good question. I think I gave them a second pen drive, so 2 slides were missing from my presentation. I think my brother, Dr. Konis, said it. We have, see, when we started our fight against galamsey as the Inter-Ministerial Committee, we were told that those who were destroying the land, the environment, were the members of the Ghana Small-Scale Miners Association. So we focused our attention on them, interacted with them, saw them, and they told us that, they gave us 3 main things. They were saying that when they applied for a permit, it took time, 5 years, 10 years, sometimes they don't get a permit at all, and they will go in and then do their own thing. Secondly, they did not know how to do sustainable mining. And so when we took over, we interacted with them, and we took about 4,000 of them to Takwa University to learn sustainable mining for a few weeks. And then we'll help them acquire their licenses. At some point, they were all regularized, thousands of them. And they went, for a period of 1 year, we stopped them from working. And they complied. So when we regularized them, they went to work. And we thought that our work was done. It was later on that we saw that it was not the Small-Scale Miners Association, but then bigger companies who were sponsored by big people with money, who were destroying the environment. In fact, when we stopped the small-scale miners, these people were working. And so I think Ghana has been unfair to members of the Small-Scale Miners Association. We did their work, and it was, most of them went back to work and did sustainable mining. So Erasmus, you don't agree with me. Anyway, so these are members of the Small-Scale Miners Association. Illegal mining is what we said. Even if you're a small-scale miner and you mine in the riverbed, you divert tailings into the river, you go into the forest, you engage Chinese, you use unapproved chemicals, then you are doing illegal mining. I hope you know that you've seen the difference now.
Okay. Even though Erastus's hand is up, I don't want to turn this upside down where the audience speaks before the panelists. Erastus, I'll come to you. You definitely have a stake in this, so we'll definitely come to you on this. But Mr. Izzy, thank you so much for joining us once again. It's a good time to actually start with you and hear your thoughts. I'm sure you've seen Destruction for Gold, seen Poison for Gold today. I'm sure you've seen it prior to today, though. But really, you have your initial comment on what you saw so far and the talk about what actually is going on in our forest reserves, for instance.
The Palestinians call the creation of Israel in 1940. A particular word they use in their language, but I hear in English.
Okay. There's something you said that I need to capture again. I think I didn't hear that, so maybe I will give you the microphone.
I want to say something which I think fundamentally everybody is oblivious of, which for me is the core of the issue. If we understand that very well, Prof, you are here, I stand to be corrected. I'm not an expert in medicine, but I want to believe the basic we know is that in spite of all the physical examinations when I come before you as a patient, I believe fundamentally you still have to do some tests, right? you might, through your experience, see that, look, the kind of symptoms I'm presenting, you might be pointing to certain diseases, but all the same, you can only confirm that if you do some tests, right? So let me take a step back to paint a picture of the real situation, so that if you understand it properly, then we'll ask ourselves at the end of the day whether the right solutions are being proffered. I joined Minerals Commission 2nd April 2002. That's about 21 years ago, as a young lawyer then. Mm-hmm. If you look at what we've known all these years, small-scale mining was lawfully permitted. That is where any person can get up and apply for the appropriate authorizations, howsoever described, to mine, albeit on a small-scale level. This is 1989. So you are talking about 34 years ago. That's when formally we started it. Perhaps we were the first in Africa to do it. Why? Because we're being told, for example, that almost all our gold was in Togo. That did not produce even an ounce of gold. Our diamonds were being found there. So ERP1 and Co, they said, look, change it. Allow people to do it formally. So it started in 1989, 34 years ago. So we had the likes of small-scale gold law. Even a law was passed, to use mercury at that time, mercury law, and then PMC law to allow people to buy and sell, because those who could produce under the same people could sell. Mm-hmm. And then they had this mercury retort. But the wisdom which it was introduced is not the kind of thing we see now. Now, at that time, we're talking about just 5 regions. Ladies and gentlemen, it's important to understand where we are coming from. And I want to believe that sometimes many of our solutions in all facets of our life, whether in trade, industry, economics, whatever, we tend to ignore history. And that's why sometimes we appear not to be winning, even though there have been successes here and there. So 5 regions: Ashanti, Western North, Central, Eastern, and the Upper East region. So that's how come offices were created all over in these areas. Boga, Dunkwa, and Co. by the Minerals Commission. An activity that barely saw 50 to 100,000 people involved. Okay, 34 years ago. Now, typical of us, when anything good starts, we all go and sleep.
Yeah.
Nobody tends to follow through. I mean, you are Ghanaians, I'm a Ghanaian, you know how we do things. We can build a new stadium today. It may be better than perhaps Wembley or whatever. Give it 2-3 years and you know what will happen. Maintenance. So the clarion call, because I know I was there, at least I've been there for 1 years. The clarion call at that time was that we will need to put aside some money every year to give to geological survey. That's why I was quite happy when Sule mentioned it in his brief remarks. Put aside every money, every year, get some money and give it to geological survey. You see, the sad aspect is that we have an institution that has the capacity to do this geological investigation. In fact, government just bought them a new rig, about $4 or $5 million. I'm sure sometime next week they will adore it. So that was the clarion call, right from the first CEO, Kofi Ansah, Wanya Miche, all the way. That look, give some money to geological survey to do geological investigation in all these blockout areas that have been designated since 1989 by Minerals Commission for them to be properly investigated. Then you can
fast forward to today.
Yes.
What is the situation
now? So I'm coming to that in a jiffy. So we have just woken up to realize that from 5 regions, we are having small-scale mining being conducted in 13 regions. You heard me, 13 regions. Save Greater Accra, perhaps it's a matter of
small-scale mining or illegal mining. Because we're talking about the difference between the two.
I'm just telling you.
So in these 13 regions, is it small-scale or illegal?
So when we are having any discussion, good or bad, we need to have this in our mind, or else you miss the step. Okay? We have moved from 5 regions where the activity was being conducted to 13 regions now. It's important people understand that most people don't know.
Save, as the lawyers will say, I'm one of them, Greater Accra, Volta, and Oti, where I come from. And it's a matter of time. I'm seeing gold in Oti. I see the data every day. And then you move from 50 to 100,000 people to now an activity that supports 3 million, directly and indirectly. 3 million. So that is the kind of animal we are faced with. So any
Introductory remarks, also to what you've seen so far as well. The concern is, why is the Forestry Commission reneging on its responsibility when it comes to people mining in our forest reserves? Is the key question that most people are asking.
Thank you, MFA. I think, just as my senior brother said, in brief, I would say what we saw was an ecological disaster. And this is not something we should countenance as a country. And I think we should all do our very best to ensure that this becomes a thing of the past. Now, I'm not an expert in mining. My area is in forest conservation, restoration, etc. And the Forestry Commission is charged with the protection, management, and development of our forest and wildlife resources. I joined the Forestry Commission about 30 years ago. At the time, the only challenges we had were artisanal, small-scale, illegal mining in reserves. And Aprapama, which we all seem to be talking about now, I mean, I was a district manager in Bekwai, and as far back as 1995, we were arresting people there on a regular basis. But the impact was relatively small. The dark holes, they go in and kind of around Odahon, Kobro, etc. Now, around 2013, 2014, all this changed. When I think around 2014, the first batch of illegal miners were arrested with excavator in the Aprapama Forest Reserve, some Chinese and Ghanaians. And then this continued into 2015, 2016, and the rest we all know. Currently, I think in May, we made a presentation at the Meet the Press. Out of our 288 forest reserves, 34 of them have issues with illegal mining. A number of them with excavators. I think since May, 2 more have come to join, so we are now around 36 forest reserves.
36.
As a commission, we are not trained soldiers. We go to school to learn how to conserve, how to protect to an extent. But the war, and I'll call it a war, has gotten to a point where the commission is not adequately positioned to fight the challenge, because you have armed gangs, armed groups, who, unlike before, where the forestry team comes over, will flee, are now prepared to engage them. I mean, I'm sure you've all been hearing or heard the news, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, where there was a shooting incident around Mankranso in Ashanti region, in the Disiri Forest Reserve. These are officers who had gone to enforce law and order. They saw an excavator and they were demobilizing it. And then out of the bush, they were ambushed, with a gang coming with knives, guns, shooting at them, and they had to defend themselves.
And who were behind it?
It's difficult to say. I mean, I believe in that particular case, some of them wanted us to believe they were actually conducting how do you call it? Community mining.
Okay.
Of course, that cannot be. Just last week, you also heard about a situation where a chief at Mansi and 9 others were arrested at the Amiasu East Forest Reserve near Diaso, Bibiani Forest District. And sometimes you wonder how these things have been allowed to fester for this long. You have a forestry commission who, until last year, November, at least had the support of the military to be able to engage these armed thugs. Last year, November 1st, the military detachment was withdrawn. So, I mean, I'm the executive director of the Forest Services Division. It's my
But
task.
just so we know, on whose orders?
I wouldn't know. They were
The
we're
Forest
told,
Commission was not communicated to?
No, we're told they were undertaking some exercise to clean up the system because there were some lapses. And they are not back yet. We've been persistently asking for that support. So sometimes you feel like your hands have been tied behind you and be thrown into a river asked to swim. And as responsible leaders, it's sometimes very difficult to throw your men out there in harm's way when you know they are not well equipped. What we have are forest guards who spend 3 weeks at a military camp to undergo some military training. That's basically all. And you have some of these people who are really well armed and, I mean, to the teeth. You know, so the commission is doing a lot. I can tell you that since January, through the efforts of our forest guards and these rapid response teams that were trained, 83 excavators have been demobilized in forest reserves. Indeed, we've gone to court to even seek a court order to have them confiscated so that we can sell them as scrap. We have arrested 198 persons since January, out of which we've been able to get 24 convictions.
All in our forest reserves?
All in forest reserve. All I'm talking about is within forest reserves.
Forest reserves, okay.
You know, we have different structures that have been demolished, generators and pumping machines. I mean, these are guys, I mean, I will always doff my hat off for them. And the recent operation at Mankranso, which was quite well circulated, I mean, they almost lost their lives. I mean, it was a face-to-face, you know, tussle where some guns were taken from them. People tried to shoot at them. It was such a close combat.
Okay.
So the commission is not resting on its oars, but we need support. We need support. We need the support of the military that our taxpayers' money is funding. Thank you.
Well, let me bring in Dr. Kenneth Ashibe. He's been with us in this fight from the very onset, I should say. And today we are hearing about the conviction of Aisha Wang. It's something that we've been talking about for some time now. Does it give you the inclination that we are getting there, at least? Many have said it's not enough, but really, for you, Dr. Kenneth Ashibe, with that news coming in, and also it's coming at a time that we're also having this dialogue, really, are we getting there when it comes to that? Also seeing poison for gold.
Well, thank you very much. I think one of the points that have to be made is about this lady judge that's handling this case. Right from the onset, considering Aisha Wang as a flight risk, the positions she took, and the fact that she was very nationalistic in the doing of her job, you just have to position her against the judge. I think it was one quest in Takwa, who prosecuted, on whose court they prosecuted some 4 Chinese people. And he, in sentencing these foreigners, sentenced them to the minimum sentence for Ghanaians. You know, just a fine of 2,400 Ghana cedis. And seeing that finally we have got some conviction. My only pain is that apparently, when we rearrested Aisha Wang, we still were prosecuting her under the old law. And my question I ask is that when she was rearrested, coming back again, was there, I think that was one of the charges. And then did she not get involved in any mining activity for which then the charges should have been under the current punishment regime? So yes, it's great that we've seen some prosecution of somebody who is not just one of those people we find in the forest reserves, and we've been able to get to the point where we're getting to. And I agree with Nana when he talks about getting to the basis and finding out why this thing is happening. But and again, when Doc talks about the fact that we're going to go into an election next year, and if you look at what has happened, the sinusoidal dances we've been doing, and we are confronted with such grave challenges as a country, but I don't think we are passionate enough. And the Forestry Commission, unfortunately, I don't believe you're doing enough, to really be able to resolve the issues. And not too as well. I think all of us, and even all of us as citizens, but those who are actually being put in power, to be able to deal with it. When excavators are seized, excavators are, even for your mobile phones, we can trace back up to the IMEI number and be able to trace that back to you. So why is it that those people who have brought in all of these excavators, the weapons of terrorism, that are using them, have you seen us go after any of them? Why is it that we're sitting here up till today? The Minister for Land and Natural Resources said Akonta mining was involved in an illegality. What has happened to that? I can tell you, go to when Erastus was taken to court by Heritage Imperial. In their court document, they talked about the fact that they were involved in a mining activity. We wrote to the EPA. The EPA said they did not have the permit to do that. So why is it that people like this were not dealing with that? You see, so when we don't deal with the root causes of the challenges that face us and keep on dealing with just the symptoms, unfortunately, we will be mining in 13 regions, but by the time we see it, our very existence would be gone. We forget that Ghana, we are not the first Ghana. The first Ghana went into extinction. And the way we are going, we are also going to go into extinction. It is something we have planned. It is something we are engineering. It's something we are doing. And we're going to get there. And so I think that for all of you who sit in Accra, all of you who sit in your comfort zones, and the thing that this thing is not about you, it's not about your survival. The time for us to say no is now. As middle class, one of the things we've all agreed with is to say that we will do elections. And because of that, we do it.
Yeah.
If all of us at middle class decide that we'll work together with everybody to ensure, then we won't sit and allow the environmental ministry to take that law to that bill to Parliament and decide that we are going to allow mining, find a way of mining in forest reserves, places of significant biodiversity areas. It just tells you of our psyche as a people. That what is it that is important to us? I know that when you go to war and you poison the water of your enemy, that is considered as a grave war crime. I wonder what is there when we as a people decide to poison our own water. So I am comforted a bit by this. But would it be only a flash in the pan? Would it be an exception? Unfortunately, as a student of social science, the evidence I see tells that this thing, we are not really going to solve it.
We hope not. But the issue about Aisha 1, Dr. Bowen, I'll come to you shortly. We also have Dr. Kobina Mensah on Zoom as well. But I would quickly want to take the thoughts of Yunus Afuseni on the Aisha 1 bit, because there's a thought about going after the financiers. You heard Dr. Ashigbe talk about the fact that even your phones, you can trace it to those who actually owns it. But in the case of these excavators, we are not hearing what's going on. We only hear that it's been destroyed amongst others. But with the sentencing of Aisha 1, Professor Frimpong-Boateng, I'll pick your thoughts also on Aisha 1, and whether this sentencing is deterrent enough when it comes to going after the real kingpins or queenpins behind it. My ushers will come for this microphone and then we give it to Honorable Yunus Afuseni. Okay, he's already mic'd, so we can hear you, Honorable Yunus Afuseni, on this.
Well, thank you so very much. I think the Aisha 1's case is, and the conviction and sentence is another vivid demonstration of our lack of commitment in fighting this canker. Clearly, like Dr. Ken Ashigbe has said, the first arrest of Aisha 1 was under a legal regime that imposed or that criminalized illegal mining and imposed a sentence That was higher than 4.5 years. Indeed, it is precisely because when we were at the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources, we realized that the sentencing regime was so minimal that it wasn't deterrent enough, and we needed to do something about that. And that's why we went back to Parliament to have that the sentencing regime increased to serve as a deterrent. Now, but you see, let me just add my own thoughts. We seem to be suggesting, and listening to Minerals Commission and Forestry Commission, we seem to be suggesting that this canker can be tolerated. Especially listening to Mr. Mataisi. But it cannot be tolerated. It cannot. You see, there's a growing movement in the world. What we've seen Erasmus do, there's a growing movement that environmental crimes are crimes against humanity. You can't justify that on the basis of exploitation of minerals. You can't. Prof just showed a picture of a woman who lost the life and the baby by reason of what? Illegal mining. So all of us must live here very clear in our minds. And 2 weeks ago I was reading something about Fuji. They decided that they didn't want any mining and that they wanted sustainable. They said they didn't want mining. Mm-hmm. We must all live here knowing and accepting that, look, and Ken ICJ has put it so simply. Maybe not during our lifetime, we will have natural deaths. But we are moving towards extinction. This canker is attacking our very existence. It's attacking our economy. Professor has demonstrated that. Attacking our economy. It's exposing us to dangers that we can quantify. But the solution is there. Forestry Commission. You mean you have no local representatives in the various areas? You mean you can't collaborate with the district assemblies? You mean the chief executive doesn't show any interest in fighting illegal activities in the forest reserves? You mean if you report to the police, they won't take action? We know why they are not taking action, because some of your officers are complicit. So you don't report.
Okay.
Don't report. But yes, Aisha won. And it is not only Aisha won, Ken knows.
But hearing the judge, wishing that you could have imposed a stiffer sanction.
As an officer of the court, mm-hmm. I wouldn't toe the line of the special prosecutor.
Okay. Well, we'll leave it there on that. But,
but clearly, we have a bigger problem that we all need to confront. And confront with the determination that other countries have exhibited. Thank you.
Thank you. Prof, quickly on the Aisha Wang bit and whether it is deterrent enough in terms of going after the key financiers of this illegal mining. I'll take your brief comments on that, then we can go on Zoom and then come to Dr. Bourne.
I believe that the law was changed, and the minimum sentence was supposed to be 15 years. Mm-hmm. So that's what I know. Thank you.
So it should have been 15 years instead of what we had?
Minimum.
Okay. Professor Frimpong Boateng, thank you. I'll come to you shortly, Professor Tampini. I really need your thoughts on this, knowing that you had a hand in producing poison for gold. But Dr. Bourne, we've heard about catastrophe. Your thing is working as well. And what would be your own description of what you've also seen so far?
Well, thank you very much. I think I agree. We are heading towards and abuse. We are heading towards disaster. I think I heard one of my panel members said it's an ecological disaster. I would rather describe it as a socio-ecological disaster, for the very reasons that we just talked about, some of which we saw on the screen, where ecological problems have become human problems. So we are actually we are not even heading towards, we are in an ecological disaster. So that is one thing. The other thing, I think I heard Senior Cameron Dodu talk about, we need to call illegal mining, galamsey, the way. I think we are not doing ourselves any good if we hide behind these terminologies of illegal mining, irresponsible mining, sustainable mining, unsustainable mining. The reality is, not too long ago, galamsey was not a polite word. You know, when you mention galamsey, you hide to say it. Today, we do have students who come to, I'm at the University of Ghana, students who come to our programs and describe themselves as former galamseyers with some pride. You know, they feel good to describe themselves as former galamseyers, so we should respect them that they were former galamseyers and they have converted. So we need to, you know, appreciate them. The reality is, galamsey is a crime against the country. And I heard Dr. Ashibe talk about, it's a kind of a war. It's a national security issue. And by the way, Asher Wang was convicted today, but Major Mahama's people, the people who killed him, we haven't had any conviction yet. We haven't had any conviction yet. And that was when we had attempted to turn the whole galamsey issue as a national security problem, send our military people there. One of them was killed, unfortunately, and up to today, we don't even have justice for him. That is just by the way. The problem we face is a governance failure and a collective action failure. Governance failure because obviously we do have our institutions which are supposed to be doing what they have to do and they either can't do it or are not doing it. We also have collective action failure because we, the people, are not angry enough. In fact, I was excited when Ken Ashibe and his group took over the fight. And at that point, me too, Ken, as a social scientist, I felt this war was going to be won by the middle class. You know, when we take elections, especially in every major city in the country, election results are determined by the middle class in Accra, in Cape Coast, in Kumasi, in Koforidua, all the big places. So when Ken Ashibe's group took over the fight, I thought, this is what we needed, or this is what we need. And I still believe this is what we need. But I have Ken here, and I'm not really sure where the fight is now, whether Ken is retired or is giving up or, you know. But then I think we need to go back. We need to go back to, you see, the period where Ken and his group took over the fight was possibly the best time in the era of galamsey where a certain level of awareness was created that people really wanted to do something about it. And then ever since, we haven't seen anything again. So it is important that we go back to the fight and be led by we the people. If we say we are waiting for government, the institutions that are either struggling to do what they have to do, and the kind of problems that they are facing from those they are fighting, then it might be a case now that we the people take over. And we the people must be represented by the middle class.
How do we take over as a people, you'd say?
Well,
when the Forestry Commission guards are being attacked in these forest reserves, how would the ordinary person take over this fight?
Well, we the people need to take over by holding our leaders responsible. Holding our leaders responsible. I mean, we do have two former ministers here. Honorable Husseini is here, Honorable Frimpong Boateng is here. They've all been in these positions before. When they were there, these problems were there. And for some reason, they have become vocal after they left office. right? I'm not saying they didn't do anything, but what it means is when people like them are in office, something stops them from being vocal. Well, it might not be true, but then at least we have seen instances where some of the advocacy that Professor Frimpong is doing, you weren't doing it when you were a minister.
Okay.
We never saw you with your video showing us.
Prof is getting the microphone to show you
some of the things that he had seen.
Okay.
But then it is important that we do some of these things.
And that's to Yunus Afusini as well, both of them.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes, and all people in government. Yeah.
Were you that vocal? Were we seeing you doing presentations you're doing today?
It depends on what you mean. I mean, for example, I made presentations in cabinet on several occasions. I made presentations to the Council of State.
I'm sure he's talking publicly to the people whom you are accountable to.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you are in government, you can't just...
Exactly, that's the point I made.
No. You can't, without talking to the president and the ministers of cabinet, you just can't go to any... Yeah, so Council of State, there was a conference of security ministers in West Africa. I made a presentation, several fora, you know. But then, you are not trying to see what you are seeing. For example, I was a minister, chairman of a committee. I get information from a chief that the people around the forest reserve cannot go to the farm because they were being harassed by Chinese and macho men and so on. So we take our task force there, including Erastus. And you go there and you see a group of illegal miners, 17 or 14 Chinese, being given security by regular soldiers and policemen. I'm the chairman. We've taken a decision. You go there and you see these people. The defense minister is a member of the committee, interior minister, so how did people get there? And then whilst you are there, some very powerful man tells you, leave them because this. Look, right now, there are 5 court cases against me because the report that I wrote and so on mentions certain names. And now I'm in court because of that. Now, if we look at Forestry Commission, they have a big problem. The former chief executive gave permission for 47 miners to enter forest reserves. And as soon as you enter, why are they entering? You know, they enter, they start digging for anything without going through the process that Dr. Kone was saying. You know, are you going to a mineable area? What is the area? So they just go and start digging. So the thing is that their hands are bound. People, powerful people in the party, in the society, in the government, when I say party, all the parties in Ghana.
Both NDC, NPP, CPP,
yes,
all of them.
All of them. And rich people who have power and influence, they are behind. And Forestry Commission, CEO, whatever, you can't do anything, you know. So this is where we are now.
Okay.
But it's a human problem.
If you were this vocal
well,
in government,
maybe he was not
maybe
listening.
half of our problems would have been
Maybe
solved.
when I was in office, he was not listening.
Okay.
Doctor, you were not
Maybe you
listening.
weren't loud enough.
I was very loud. I was loud to the extent that I was the only minister who was able to deport more than 5,000 Chinese from Ghana. In fact, I threatened to arrest the head of the immigration office because they were given visas on arrival to Chinese and renewing them. I have always been in no doubt. You see, probably you've forgotten. We've forgotten where we are coming from, like Batraisi has said. That this fight started gaining momentum when people like Kenashbe came in. I remember clearly that the first time I posted Ofin as it was and Ofin now, even your radio station thought that that was fake. And they said that that was fake. So people did not. And in Parliament, when I went to Parliament to convince my colleagues that it was important that we rose up and did something about Galamsey, a very senior member of Parliament, now a minister, thought that I was over-exaggerating the situation.
Who is that?
Katie Hammond.
Okay.
And said what Wasa Samine said, that, oh, my grandfather and ancestors were doing Galam. He didn't know the Galamsey we were talking about. It is only through pictures like Erasmus and that is bringing out the dangers, and probably, doctor, now you understanding. Because if you don't go to the Galamsey sites and you are in Accra, you will never appreciate, and the pictures don't come to you.
Okay.
You will never appreciate what we're talking about.
Let's not leave those on Zoom out of the discussion. I'll come to Professor Sampini as well. There are views that I'm going to try and take views from everyone in here. But we have Dr. Albert Kwabena-Mensah, a research scientist. He's joining us via Zoom. And also Stanley Mate also joining us from COP via Zoom as well. Dr. Kwabena-Mensah, if you can hear me, maybe you can unmute at this point. And let's quickly hear you on your thoughts on this. At least you are a scientist as well. How dire is the catastrophe against our environment, you'd say?
And said I needed to be around. So I wanted to find out which.
Yeah, thank you so much. But there's a feedback.
We can hear you loud and clear now. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I've been listening to the conversations, and it's quite interesting. Some of us, we are scientists, so when we meet, we talk about data, because it is data that we can only, it is only data that someone cannot refuse to listen. So the theme for this particular dialogue is about devastating effect of illegal small-scale mining, and it's also about Erastus's video. Erastus's video talks more about heavy metals, so I would like to talk about heavy metals, because that is what the video talks about. So when we talk about heavy metals, what are they? Heavy metals are those elements whose atomic number is more than 20. And they have a density of more than 5 grams per centimeter cube. And they are usually in the periodic table found as transition elements. If you don't understand this, don't worry. The most important thing is that I will break some things down for you to understand.
Please do.
So
please.
Now these heavy metals, why are they of a problem? Because they are supposed to be found in trace amount. When we say trace amount, that means that they are supposed to be found in a specific threshold. So when you go above that particular threshold, then they become a problem. So because of this, there are two main essential groups of heavy metals. What is called the essential heavy metals, then the non-essential heavy metals. Now, the non-essential heavy metals are those ones that are not needed by humans in any form, like arsenic, like mercury, like lead, and like cadmium. They are not needed by humans in any form. So when they go above even 0.1 or 0.0 milligram per liter in water, it becomes a problem. Now there are also essential heavy metals. Those essential heavy metals are those ones that are needed by plants, and they are also needed by humans and animals in their metabolism. Examples are zinc. Another example is iron. Another example is aluminium. Other examples is copper. Now, these ones are essentially needed by plants for various biochemical processes in the body. So those ones are usually high. So when you measure something like zinc, usually zinc has a very, very high value, usually because plants and human beings need them in those quantities. But then they shouldn't go above a specific threshold. When they go above a particular threshold, they become a problem. Now, how do we take interventions against these heavy metals? Now, we are supposed to take interventions against heavy metals because they present ramifications and they present public health threat to humans. Like mercury is associated with kidney diseases, deformities in unborn babies. Arsenic is also related to things like bubuli ulcer and other lesions of the skin. Then other ones like copper, for instance, is associated with Wilson disease. It's associated with Wilson disease. So, and the Wilson disease comes about when the person experiences tremors in the hand or the affected body. Then other ones like manganese and so forth, they all cause problems when they are above certain limit. So that is why we have to take measures to sort of regulate their activity or regulate their concentration. So when it comes to guidelines, that's why countries have guidelines. Internationally, we have something called trigger action value. So when you have trigger action value, that means that it is the concentration at which you have to take action. That's the trigger action value. Then you have the maximum allowable concentration. That is the free range which the element is supposed to be.
Okay.
For instance, arsenic is supposed to have a maximum allowable concentration of 20 to 50 milligram per kilogram. Then there's another one which is called the world global average. So like arsenic, for instance, the world soil global average is 6.8 milligram per kilogram. But then these heavy metals, I want to establish something here. The heavy metals, sometimes we measure them using the total concentration method. And the total concentration method may underestimate the problem. For instance,
I'll need you to break it down a bit for us, really. In terms of what is going on now, we all did chemistry. Most of us are forgetting the chemistry that we did. But really, in terms of these metals, how dangerous are they to us if we come into contact with them, if we are drinking the water polluted with these metals? What really will happen to us, you would say?
So for instance, the problem is that we can come into contact with these heavy metals via inhalation. Okay, when we inhale and the air is polluted with the metal, example is mercury. Another way we can come to contact with is when we play with them, with these metals in contaminated field. Like you see children, I have a video here where children are playing on contaminated field. So they come into dermal contact with the child. Then it can also come into contact with us when we orally ingest. We call it oral ingestion through orally eating the soil or deliberate eating of soil. You know, when we say deliberate eating of soil, we see pregnant women eating soil to obtain things like iron or some essential nutrients.
Is it the
and that is called geophagy. Okay. And we are very much aware of this.
Okay. Well,
we are very much aware of this when pregnant.
We seem to be having a poor connection to Doc's line there. We lost you briefly, Doc, but it's still on Zoom. Let me bring in Stanley Mate also on this. We've talked about inhalation and also these metals, also some of them being found in water, amongst others, from what I've seen so far from Erastus. We've heard the Ghana Water Company talk about, processing this water and how much it's costing you much more to do so. But really, should I be looking twice at the water that I drink at this point, knowing where we are when it comes to Galamsey?
Yeah, Amafa, thank you very much for having me. I think all Ghanaians must be rest assured that the water that flows through our taps meets the best of standards that they can think of. Now, we treat our water according to two standards, that of the World Health Organization and that of the Ghana Standards Authority. And the Ghana Standards Authority standards is higher than that of the WHO. Now, as a company, per our standard operating procedures, we are expected to do better than the Ghana Standards Authority. So it means that we meet the best of standards. So all Ghanaians must be rest assured that the water that flows through our lines meets the best of quality and it is good and safe for consumption. Now, any time that we realize that we are not meeting the standards, we shut down, or we think we can't treat the water because stability and some other parameters have gone way higher. We shut the treatment plant, and this is not the first time. It happens every year, and we announce to the general public that this is what is happening, so we have shut down the treatment plant. There's no way we'll compromise on our integrity. There's no way we'll compromise on our quality standards. Now, currently, Ghana Water Company Limited is ISO compliant. Okay, so we all know what it means to be ISO compliant. So that even that alone will not allow us to do anything untoward or to allow us to pump in unwholesome water into the system. Now, as we go on, we'll talk about how our treatment processes are, so that we all can get that assurance.
Okay.
If you permit me, I'll go.
We'll come to that briefly, but I'm just wondering, the Ghana delegation in COP, participating in COP really, have we not been embarrassed at any point in time? The issue about Galamsey, has it come up at all at any point in time? You were there, so tell me.
Currently I'm not there.
Okay.
So, yes, so I'd want us to maintain what we are doing now.
Okay.
But I don't think we'll be embarrassed. We'll be able to manage our situation effectively. So let's rest assured that we are committed to our jobs, we are committed to our programs, and we ensure that we do the right things all the time. MFA.
Ms. Amate, thank you. Stay with us on Zoom. Professor Sampene, since we are talking science, you're a pathologist and a senior lecturer at the KNUST. We've heard inhalation, ingestion, amongst others. Really, for us as a society, ordinary person, break it down for us, the risks we face, really, to the barest minimum when it comes to the issue or the effects of Galamsey.
All right, thank you very much, Mafa, and thank you, Joy News, for this opportunity. In fact, I have to come all the way from Kumasi for the first time to, as it were, join such a good program like this. Like you rightly said, and like almost all the panelists have said, we are almost heading towards extinction of the sort. If not, we all leaving the surface of Ghana, but there will come a time that will find it very difficult to have people who even have the mind to even think or formulate anything that we can say that this is a human being. My research actually it involves a lot of money in terms of digestion of some of these organs that have to be digested and even extract these heavy metals to digest 50 milligrams of, let's say, placenta or kidney. It costs me 850 Ghana cedis per. So I have maybe sometimes I take as many as 20, 30, and you can imagine a poor professor at the university spending so much to get some of these things done. Yet, I'm not lamenting here though, but the point is that it looks as if I've gone past that level where I have to throw my hands in despair. So, for some reason, I have sort of also find some people outside of Ghana who are ready to help find solution. That is called, mitigation, as it were, and then detoxification before some of these women go into the process of conception. And that is one of the reasons why I even came to Accra in the morning around 11 o'clock thereabout. I have to sit in and finish and came here at 3:30 thereabout. But you see, what is happening is actually quite interesting. And it's unfortunate that sometimes I don't want to go into politics here because I'm a scientist, I'm a pathologist, but of course sometimes they believe that pathologists deal with only the dead. No, we do more than what people perceive to understand for the pathologist.
But this is the national dialogue. We say it as it is. So
yeah, we do, diagnostic methods, all manner of diagnosis. We are more or less like behind the scene diagnostic method to be given to doctors to be able to even function. Even to improve on the quality of medicine, the quality of healthcare that we are getting out now is by pathologists. It's not by any other person, by pathologists. Prof. Boateng will bear me out here. But I see, one thing that I have faced when I first saw the devastating effect of these heavy metals, I had somebody who wanted to at least help, in terms of the financial, financial considerations because of the cost. And then a politician called me. In fact, I don't know what happened. The man's happened to show this issue. And then the politician called me. Two of them called me that what I'm doing is Photoshop. That is never true. He told me point blank. At the point when I told him that, look, you are just a lawyer. I'm not saying just a lawyer. You are a lawyer and you know your field. Let me also deal with my field. The things that I'm talking about, they are all in my department. They are in my lab. In fact, just this one is just one out of about 20 of them that I have. All from the Western region and part of Ashanti region, Central region, and even Eastern region. I have a lot of them. Some of them are deformed as late as 2 weeks ago. I collected some from Asenkregwa. You see, most of these women are unable to give birth to some of these children because the heavy metals actually have a telling effect on the brains of these developing fetuses, and so they cannot synchronize sort of with their mother so as to have a normal delivery. For a woman to live, there should be some form of communication between the mother and that of the baby, and this communication will not happen. So these mothers most of the time die, and we have to call on a pathologist to come and take the body, pick the baby out so that the mother could be buried separately as far as the babies. And so sometimes you take samples and you go through the samples that I've said, the liver, the kidneys, the brain, and the heart. You see all manner of things there. Some of the children having their heart, the normal heart supposed to be on the left. Some of them are, we call dextrocardio. The heart is on the left, so on the right. So you can imagine the sort of thing that we're going to find if you don't put a serious listening into some of these things. We just downplay it as if it's nothing. When the person saw it, it's, oh, this one is just Photoshop, so they shouldn't mind me. Oh yeah, that's what the man said. Of course, the man was bold enough even to engage me in a conversation. At a point, he told me, "Fuck off, sorry, just drop the phone." And he just told me to shut my mouth and then stop, because we are doing certain things that is exposing somebody. I'm not exposing anybody. I'm exposing what is happening in the system. I'm exposing to protect yet unborn children. How many years are we to live? Very soon we'll go. Maybe let's give ourselves the next 100 years. We'll not be here. Okay. And some another generation will come. And if this generation comes and like somebody's Honorable Dr. Ashigbe said, this is not the first Ghana. We are, first Ghana got what? He said it happened when? It was Asian Ghana, Asian Empire. And now we are now the second, but probably maybe it's a way of also trying to get us, okay, out of this system so that another Ghana can. But if that Ghana that is coming is the one that is going to have people without all manner of mental problems. Now autism is in the rise in Ghana. Kidney diseases. If you go to Kumasi Konfanochi Teaching Hospital, I was talking to a professor of nephrology. He said that it's kidney diseases from all those places. And now even how many people can afford this dialysis. So please, for me, I'm not here to lament. I'm here to, as it were, profess some form of means by which we can prevent some of these things. Okay. So that, and that myself and that team that we have formed, in fact, basically some of these things when you see is the US or there's a Canada. We the Ghanaians, we are not doing anything. Okay. We would rather downplay you and even try to threaten your life. As if I'm interested in I'm not interested in anything politics. I'm not interested at all. Okay. I'm not interested at all. What I'm interested is going to my lab, doing whatever it is that will save mankind and improve on the quality of health services that you are giving here.
Okay. Professor Sampany, thank you. And I must say he played a key role in the putting together for Poison for Good. I'll come to questions from the audience shortly, but like I said, you can interact with us with the hashtag JoyNews National Dialogue. And a number of questions have come for you, Ms. Daisy. Really, I was going to ask you about the issue about licenses for people going into these forest reserves. How many really have we given out, you'd say, at the last count, maybe before you came? If you're able to check from the top of your head, what's really the situation when it comes to issuing of licenses? Then I'll get into some of the questions that have come in for you. Then we can take views from the others as well.
I may not be able to tell you any figure that this number has been given licenses for exploration and or mining. Let me put it this way. We did not license small scale in forest reserves. At least that I know for sure. So any activity being conducted within the contents of small scale in a forest reserve is illegal. It's as simple as that. It's just illegal.
Okay.
That's it. So take that out.
And there are measures in place to check, to be sure.
Of course.
Okay.
You know, once you enter in the forest and you don't have the appropriate authorization.
We're hearing from the Forestry Commission and the challenges they are facing.
Yes, so it's
That's
illegal.
What we're asking.
It's just pure and simple. It's illegal. That's it. For large scale, yes, there are a couple of prospecting licenses there. I don't remember the numbers, but I think if you go to our website, they are there. There are also large scale companies that have been mining in forest reserve.
Mm-hmm.
Some as far back as about 80 years now. So that's what I can say. Actual figures, I don't have them on top of my head. But let me correct an impression. It's not a rebuttal because of the statement Honorable Fuseni made.
On whether we should tolerate it?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
By saying that, you see, I'm just trying to paint a picture of the kind of thing that is staring at us. That our inactions for nearly 3 decades has brought us to where we are. And if I'm saying that it is being conducted in 13 regions out of 16, that is for good. Because we are doing mining. By definition of mining in our law, mining is taking place in all the 16 regions in Ghana anyway. Just take note of that. Supporting directly or indirectly 3 million livelihoods. That is not to suggest by any stretch of imagination that the position here is that it cannot be dealt with. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that these are the kind of people who are involved. These are the kind of livelihood supporting. These are the regions that the activities are being conducted. So when we're having a discussion, we should take note of how far we've come in terms of numbers, in terms of figures. It is not by any stretch of imagination suggesting that because it is supporting 3 million livelihoods, we should kill ourselves. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. That because it's 3 million, 10% of the population, you cannot deal with it or you shouldn't deal with it. So nobody should get me wrong. Okay. I'm just putting out statistics. You see, in this country, we are not scientific. When we are doing things, we don't look at data. So don't sit in Accra and think you're talking about only Western region and Central. And by the way, if you know the kind of small-scale activities that are going up in the 5 northern regions, it is mind-blowing. So I'm just putting out information there. Okay. As to the courses, what we should do, should we change tactics? Have they succeeded? That's why we are here. We can talk about that. I have my own views and also what I think we should do to address some of the problems. Exactly. In the short term, medium, and long term. So, Honorable, don't get me wrong. Don't be scared by the fact that because I said 3 million livelihoods are involved, hey, don't touch it. No. It's just figures being put out there to help the debate.
Okay. One thing has also come up, the issue about Akunta mining. I have a copy of your statement back then when it came up, when this whole issue about Akunta mining came up. The Forestry Commission, I'm sure, will touch on that as well. I'll just quote a bit of that statement. This is the 3rd October 2022 statement from the Forestry Commission, and just portions of it. While Akunta Mining Limited has a mining lease to undertake mining operations in some parts of Samreboy outside the forest reserve, the company has no mineral rights to undertake any mining operations in the Tano Nimri Forest Reserve. So this is portions of your statement. And what then is happening when it comes to Akunta mining? Really, tell me from where you sit, from this statement that you issued back then up until today, what has happened to the owners of Akunta mining?
Okay, so we still stand by that. It's not backpassing. I don't deal with forestry issue. So as to whether an activity is being conducted illegally in now I'm told 36 forest reserves or not, it is the Forestry Commission that may be able to help. That is it. Because you see, when you are conducting a mining operation, you need all kinds of permits authorization. The license, the forestry permit, and other ones. So on our side, we issued a statement based on whether or not those permits relating to MINCOM have been obtained. I'm saying no. So I don't enter the forest. Where our inspectors go are areas that are properly lawful. So, for example, Chirano, Ghana Bauxite, New Montachim, these are areas that are being permitted for large-scale mining. So the inspectors go there to check whether or not activities are being conducted there. So that's all that I can say on that.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll stay with you because there are a bit of questions, but I'll ask Mr. Brown on this since you're close, you're working together on this. And this particular issue about Akunta mining, a lot of people want to know what exactly is happening. We've heard from the Minerals Commission. what has happened? You've talked about 38 of these, companies in this forest reserves, Akunta Mining in particular. What has happened?
Okay, MFA, to the best of my knowledge, I think a report was made about an illegal mining in the Nimri Forest Reserve by our district manager at Enchi. Mm-hmm. Later follow-ups to the police station were informed that the case has been, the docket has been sent to Accra, and they're going to seek advice from the Attorney General's department. And so far, we haven't had any feedback. But is there anything happening there now? Mm-hmm. No. We are protecting the place.
Last time we checked was when?
There have been a few. This morning, I even spoke to the district manager before coming. There have been a few incursions here and there, not with heavy machinery, but like the youth in the area may be doing some small-scale mining. But in all cases, they are flashed out. So as we speak, Nimri Forest Reserve is safe.
I'm sure Erastus' team checking on the Tamno Nimri Forest as we speak.
Yeah.
What reports are you getting from there, Erastus?
We went there, a certain portion of it, we saw over 400 trees that have been felled. We have the footage if you want to see it. Since then, I receive weekly reports, videos. Now, Samatex, which survives on that forest, is spending a chunk of its money fighting Galamsey people in Tano Nimri as we speak. Mm-hmm. So maybe you should speak with the district officer in Inche to brief you very well. We've been there, even an area where they put biodiversity sign there. Behind the signpost, they are mining.
Erastus, I'm sure if you spoke to Samatex, you would find out that it's a joint forestry Samatex team.
Yes, Samatex has bought
that is protecting
a
the
pickup
place.
Vehicle for the Forestry Commission. In fact, they are assisting them with their meager funds now to fight the people who are degrading the Tano Nimre Forest Reserve.
Yes.
In fact, let me state that no forest reserve is cordoned off as we speak. No forest reserve.
Is that the case?
I'm sure the Forestry Commission has not come out to say that any forest reserve has been cordoned off.
I've heard that from the Lands Minister so many times.
I was very clear.
Become a narrative.
I was very clear. I said the Forestry Commission has not come out to say any forest has been cordoned off.
Okay. Okay. So the Forestry Commission has not said, but the minister in charge has mentioned at some point. So that's not the case. No forest reserve has been cordoned.
But MFA,
Mr. Brown,
I want to
Erastus,
say,
I'll come to you, Erastus, please. I'll come to you. I know you have a lot of information. We'll come to you shortly on this. We'll be getting into solutions. Erastus, please take Erastus' mic.
I want to say something.
Take Erastus' mic. I'll come to you shortly, Erastus, very soon, shortly. Stay with me, because we would go for solutions and then we'll get that communique. And Cameron Dodu, I'll come to you as well, don't worry. But you're saying that no forest reserve in Ghana has been cordoned off.
The Forestry Commission has not said that.
Okay.
And when you use the word cordoned off, what do you mean?
Okay.
I mean, have you fenced it? Have you put men around each point along the boundary? I mean, what do you mean by cordoned off? So we have not used that term, and I don't really understand what is being said.
Okay. Well, Mr. Isi, I'll come to you, Dr. Ashigbe, at least getting the update on Akunta Mining, and then the audience have a lot of questions that we need to ask as well. But LI, this particular environmental instrument, LI 2462, the concern, at least the questions that we are getting is, how do we explain that we are protecting forest reserves when this particular law opens all forest reserves for mining at the discretion of the president? Is it easy? You want to comment on that? Your microphone is working. It's very active. You don't need that one.
Let me say this, and I say it with all honesty and sincerity. There is no law in Ghana which says we cannot mine forest reserve. People should understand that first. It's important we know. Hang on. Can you just listen to me? Can we have one debate? You have all the time.
You have the floor, please.
Yes.
Please go ahead, Mr. Isi.
I'm saying, there is no law in Ghana which says you can't mine forest reserve. I need to understand that, and people should just understand certain facts. Mm-hmm. As to whether when we live here, 30 million Ghanaians, we shouldn't allow mining forest reserve, or we should allow mining, it's a debate
we can engage in. I have my own personal view.
Starting now, what's your own personal view on it?
Yes. No, let me just finish the question you asked me. So you need to understand that in perspective. Now, and also you need to separate what is being done lawfully with all the rules and regulations that are out there. And at this stage, it's important people go to Newmont Achim. I mean, you saw what they put out there on Friday. So just go and see what can happen lawfully. We also need to separate where people are doing it illegally, which is making all of us angry. Look, MFA, I was born and bred in Accra, New Town, around Superstars, Malata Market there, 27 years. I started drinking pipe-borne water 2009 when I was doing Masters in Natural Resources Law at the University of Calgary in Canada. I have drunk pipe-borne water all my life. Now I will not ask my 4 children to drink pipe-borne water. I have my doubts as to what Stanley was saying anyway, because I see some of the things that come out.
You don't trust the water?
So I'm equally angry and outraged. So sometimes when we are when we are having discussion, we shouldn't mix the two. What is lawfully permitted, as to whether we should continue or not, is a different matter. And the anger, the outrage as to our difficulty and challenges in protecting the forest, that people could get up. You see, Honorable Fuseni said something. And sometimes, I don't know whether some of us live in this country. Doctor will tell you. What we do is that the officers go around, and now we have the men. They pick semblance, because you see, wherever illegal mining is going on in Ghana, the Minerals Commission District Inspector knows. Make no mistake about that. The first thing he does is that once he picks the coordinates, and they have the gadgets now, he informs the district chief executive who is in charge of DISEC. By the way, some of them are involved in illegal money. That is on record. So you can understand the Hydra-headed problem. He copied the regional minister, as the case may be, and everybody. Meanwhile, the DC is the head of DISEC. So then, how on earth will, you see where we registered? That is Galamsey taking place, and the room here is a police station. Abomusu, you see the Nyinam Bridge there. Galamsey happening behind a police station. And the Minerals Commission has written all the letters from Amina to Sinabu to everybody.
And nothing.
Concern. But the rules are around, a lady is being sexually harassed or somebody has just been slapped. Would the policeman walk away? No. So how come that behind a police station, Galamsey is going on?
Well, let's get into the audience.
What has that got to do with the Minerals Commission officer who has just written to the DC and said that he has to take, we now bring in the military. You know, it took General Isi, namesake, to go there and clear the people. That is the kind of situation we are talking about. So when I heard him saying that you don't report to the police, he's not living in Ghana. Maybe, I don't know. So I am struggling to wrap my head around it.
Well, Mr. Isi, we'll come to the radical solutions at this point. At this point, we need to get the radical solutions way forward on this, then we can bring in our communique. Aula's hand has been up for some time now. Aula, let's bring you in quickly, and then we can take your submission on this as well.
Thank you very much. I just wanted some clarification. We said that there's no law against mining in forest reserves, but we do know that in the past there were limits as to how far you could go into forest reserves. Now, what I want to ask the Minerals Commission is that since LI 2462 was passed, which in our opinion is putting legality on illegality, since LI 2462 was passed, how many licenses have been granted to mine in forest reserves? That's what I'd like to know. Okay. Since the passage of LI 2462, how many licenses have been granted to mine in forest reserves, including globally significant biodiversity areas? Thank you.
Okay. Well, so maybe 2 more questions, and then we can take answers to that, and then we get into solutions. The gentleman in the suit there. Yours is a solution. So let me take questions briefly. I'll note you, and then we'll come to solutions. Cameron Dodu, yours is a question, briefly.
it as a question.
Okay.
But I want to bring some comic relief. Ken said that Ghana may go extinct. To some people, it is already gone. A woman looked at me and asked me in London, you said black star, black star. When you look up, can you see a black star there? Ghana, I swear. I heard this with my own ears.
Okay.
But
well, we are hopeful. Say, so maybe another question.
No. I want to make my own contribution.
Briefly, please.
Yes. Oh, microphone. God.
Cameron, are you done?
I'm coming.
Okay.
I think the Galamsey issue is too big to be put in the hands of the central government alone. It is a people's war, and I mean war. Unfortunately, some of my media colleagues, when they go to a Galamsey site and see pump action guns or AK-47s, they just say, oh, so ammunition was picked up. How did these people come into ownership of guns and transport them into remote areas in Ghana? If they were doing guerrilla warfare for political reasons, would we allow it?
Okay. Thank you. Come on, please. We'll have to take other comments. I beg you. Please, thank you so much. Let's take some other questions, please. I really appreciate your contribution, but we have to take as many as possible.
Okay. Yes, the name is Justus. I'm here representing the Ghana Watch Journalist Network.
Okay.
When I listen to, especially the two people representing the public sector, then my fear and observations begin to get confirmed that coordination among them has been non-existent or weak, because the licensing regime has stated ABC from this institution. So I would like to ask them, if they were coordinating really well in the issuance of licenses, enforcement of the regulations, etc., would we have had the issues we have at this, level that we have them in the country?
Okay.
Thank you.
Maybe we box one more question. Instead of saying, is there a question you have? Because I'm going for solutions right after this. So if it's a solution, please hold on to it. And let me get one more question, then we can take responses briefly.
Yes, my question goes to the CEO of Mineral Commission. I'm not a professional lawyer, but this is simple logic. We have laws in Ghana that allows us to conserve our forests. That's why they are called forest reserve. And in a reserve, it's not only the plants you conserve the minerals that give life to the plants. If we don't have laws, you clearly mentioned that there is no law in Ghana that bars mining in forest areas. Then we don't have a law in Ghana equally that guarantees the reserve of a forest. The chicken and the egg, which is older. We have a forest reserve before you go there to mine. So if there is no law that conserves the forest, then where are we?
Okay.
Yes.
We'll take responses then. It looks like a number of them to you, Ms. Daisy, and then also to the Forestry Commission as well. The issue about coordination between the two institutions. Also, since the LI 2462 was passed, how many licenses? We asked earlier, but I don't know if you have a response to that, because you mentioned you didn't have the numbers. But since the law was passed, she's asking.
My sister, I can't tell you offhand, but take my number now, official number. The only CEO whose number is publicly available, 055 882 9342. Call me, I'll give you the details. Okay,
But you can't
so
give it to us publicly, or you don't have it yet.
I can't remember. I don't want to
Okay.
say 10-4 and then it becomes another problem.
Okay.
And then number 2, coordination has been perfect. GGSA, EP, etc. In fact, unless Mr. Brown is not aware, it is we that send them a video and then some information from the district office of the Minerals Commission that was relayed to Forestry Commission CEO on this desiree thing that he's talking about. That is how far we work. Again, let me harp on this. Illegality is an illegality. Illegality has nothing to do with coordination.
Okay.
We work perfectly. Okay? Yes. So that is that. They might have gotten it from different sources. But I remember he just took a WhatsApp message and I sent a video and some information I got. Somebody sent it to me. And then my district officer confirmed. He said, oh, that's the zero. Then I sent it to Mr. Alute. I think it was outside the can. He said, look, his deputy will handle the situation. As to how my district officer got it and co, that's the order we asked was to check. Then we relate to forestry. So coordination is perfect.
Okay.
At all material times, I wanted to separate it. And then my friend who asked, yes, Martina is saying that no law prevents mining in forest reserve. But then I stand to be corrected by Mr. George Brown. You cannot get up and do any activity in the forest unless you are what? Permitted. So if somebody puts an application for a mineral right, either to explore and or mine mineral, he has to go to Forestry Commission to go and get an appropriate forestry entry permit. If it's allowed, then he can continue the other process. But if the Forestry Commission says you can't mine or will not allow you, that is the end. That is it.
Maybe you come in briefly on the issue about coordination.
And then let me say this. In the mining cadastre, which is available, practically the whole Ghana is in our system. Ramsar site, Muni Lagoon, whatever. So when you come, we normally have what we call restricted. There are restrictions on it. So we tell you you can't have it. It is as simple as that. For example, I was just surprised this morning that people of Efutu are demonstrating about people going to mine in Yenku. And that's the problem I'm having with some of the journalists, like this Kakum team. You don't find out. As far back as 2-3 years ago, we sent even a letter to Nenyi Gate and Assembly and everybody that there's nothing, there's no activity there. So a lot of misinformation are also going on. And I'm saying that in my case, my doors are available. Just give us a call, check.
Okay.
And then just that's why this Kakum thing, some of us didn't like it. You see, that morning, for example, I had a letter inviting me to that seminar at Arocha. I didn't come from my regular metro Thursday. So I entered my office 11:30. Then my secretary says, boss, you are inviting you to this program. I said, oh, sorry, we cannot make it. It's late now. They started around 9 o'clock. They were able to trace us and send a letter to our office and send our numbers. They couldn't just call us to know whether or not there's an application for a mineral right in Kakum.
Well, I'll box this one in briefly. There's also a question about asking you.
So my sister, reach out.
While there are large gold deposits at Dollar Power, yet no effort is made for community mining and allocation to local investors. You're aware of Dollar Power. We know this is supposed to be a no man's land amongst others, but someone is asking whether we know about the large gold deposits at Dollar Power and whether there are any plans.
As far as I'm concerned, Dollar Power, it has about 10 names. It's also called United Nations. Or ECOWAS, because you find all the citizens. Actually, the number of people, the nationality of persons, they're far out. And it's a no man. I mean, you can't enter. At a point in time, you cannot tell the boundary between Ivory Coast and what do you call it, Ghana. What I know that the military has entered the place now. They are clearing assets, roads, etc. That whole place is part of the Bui.
They're told foreigners are mining them.
Bui Forest. Bui National Park, right? I hope I got the name right. Yes. And it's all part of the Bui Dam.
Okay.
There are areas that are outside it, but it's still part of the forest. I think there are a lot of illegal mining going on there.
Yes.
But now the military has entered. They are doing the access road because the only way you can get there is through a motorbike.
Okay.
And people are really armed. You know, you can't tell whether you're in Ivory Coast or Ghana at a point. But I think the military is now doing a base following presentation. I'm sure Prof knew about it when was a minister. So following presentation to cabinet and co now, they need to provide security and secure the place. So that is being done, that I know for sure.
Okay. Dr. Ashigbe and Dr. Mantiao, I'll start with you with solutions, but I'm told Dr. Benita Kumsing has been with us on Zoom all this while. So I'll take a brief remark from her, then we take the radical solutions, and then we can have a presentation on that. Your hand is up. I'll come to you shortly. Just a minute. Let me bring in Dr. Benita Kumsing. She's been with us all through via Zoom. Let's take quick comments from her, then I'll come to the representative from the Lands and Mining Committee in Parliament. Dr. Benita, if you can hear me, please unmute and briefly give us your remarks.
Thank you very much, MFA, and good evening to us all. I thought MFA had forgotten about me, and thank God she remembered that I have been online. Interesting discussions I have been following, and I am very honored to be part of this discussion. Well, I have very little to add on, and I'm so grateful that I get to speak at a time we are looking at, remediating or solutions to the whole Galamsey menace. So I would want to go into actionable, sustainable solutions. Actionable, sustainable solutions. And I call it ASS. My dad will say, he who pleases everyone loses his ass. So I would want to state here that as stakeholders, we all have to, bring our A game on board to help us solve this menace. And researchers like myself, as a minerals engineer, we have been able to look at how the heavy metal could be remediated. And so you could realize that in the past, during some conversations, the current Vice Chancellor of UMAT, for instance, and Professor Amankwa mentioned that they are able to help, solve the menace. And of course, I have also been working on remediating heavy metals such as arsenic, lead. I can confidently say that we'll be able to use laterite concretions, iron oxides, to be able to clean it up. Now, what do we have to do? Every stakeholder would have to come on board and identify what they can do and do it. We cannot just play around words anymore. We cannot, say you did this or you did that. We all have to come in with what we can do. The researchers would have to come in. Those who are involved in the action would have to be dialogued with. Unfortunately, we are sitting here talking about the menace, and we've not been able to get those key players, those involved in Galamsey, as part of this communication, because we need them. And remember, there are people who are obtaining livelihoods from the same action. So we need to really look at it again. I think there should be a part 2 of this discussion if possible. And as much as possible, the government and everyone, let us bring ourselves together and talk to ourselves that, hey, well, even places which are not, heavy metal mineralized areas are now experiencing issues of heavy metals, and that is because of these actions. Okay. Can we take a second look? These are the remedial actions. Okay, is it phytoremediation we want to go for? Is it the use of some of these iron oxide, laterite concretions that we want to use? Like we are saying, we've been able to have environmental sections for the larger mining companies and those who have licenses. What stops us from organizing those in the Galamsey? If we are saying that we started years back, what is stopping us from bringing all these people together? So I think we have to look at it again.
Okay.
We have to look at this again by bringing everybody on board and having a strong discussion. Because for all you know, people are just desperate because of money. But remember, a lot of people are also getting effect from the whole menace. So we have to look at actionable, sustainable solutions.
Dr. Kumsing, we are grateful. She started the solutions for us, and I promised I'll come to you. So briefly, at this point, I want to take a lot of solutions as possible. So let's make it very brief so we can take many solutions. 1.5, please. Thank you. Okay.
I'll use my voice. I'm a PhD candidate with KNUST Civil Engineering Department, and I'm designing a solution to remediate heavy metal contaminated contaminants from artisanal small-scale mining areas. And in doing this, I've looked at the regulations, and I think that what's happening is this. when we legalized small scale, please don't bring me on telly, please. When we legalized small scale mining, we're looking at, what's the name? A liberal licensing system, and we are the branch of it now. So you realize that most of the regulations have looked at, actually focus on large scale mining firms. So detailed, and we are not having problems with them. Let's look at Regulation 2 of LI 2176. It says applicants, that's for large scale mining firms, applicants submit among other applications, environmental permits or an operating permit or any other permits. When you look at the same LI 2176, I'm not a lawyer though, which covers Regulation 202-256, it says nothing about environmental permit. It only says that it actually has nothing in that for them, for small scale mining. Then when you look at the mining and mineral as health, safety, and technical, it is so detailed for large scale mining firms. That's Regulations 469 to 492 for small scale mining firms. It's virtually empty. It only says that what's the name? Holders of license will only commence work if the mining concessions are inspected by Minerals Commission.
We're getting to the
Where
solution.
is EPA? Then the same, when you take the same thing says that the chief inspector of mines issues regulations and codes for health and safety for small scale mining.
Okay.
As compared to well laid out regulations to the minutest details for large scale mining firms. So I think this is one of the areas we have the problem. The Minerals Commission, EPA, Water Resources, Forestry is not integrated. We should have a system where once you apply for permit, it is seen by the 3 or the 4. We do not have that system. I thought at a point we had Galam Stop. I thought Galam Stop was going to check that, but it did not work. Then when we take the small scale and community mining manual, it tried to correct this, but it also worsened it. Where it is saying that the minister approves the application before the applicant goes for environmental permit. It also says that the applicant will have to demarcate the area he wants to mine, insert pillars before he goes to apply for the permit for inspection. You ask a Ghanaian to go demarcate an area and insert pillars, then you are asking him to mine.
Okay.
So the small scale mining thing created that, also did not fill that gap. Then you know something. For this water problem, it has been there all these years. But the main thing we are not looking at is we are fast polluting groundwater.
Okay.
I'm not done, please. Give me 1 more minute.
No, I can't.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
but let me done.
I'm sorry, I
Give
can't.
me the solution.
Please,
All
get
the
to it.
solutions we look at will not work. The Clean Water Act is managed by EPA. That's the Clean Water Act of United States. It's managed by EPA and the Corps of Engineers, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. If we do not go that line, EPA, Forestry, they can never fight them.
Okay. We'll come to you for more on this subsequently, but thankfully also, the Sisela West MP is here. He represents the Lands and Forestry Committee in Parliament. Thankfully, he's with us as well. Please, Honourable, let's take your comments as well.
Well, thank you very much. And this discussion is very dear to some of us when it comes to illegal mining, because growing up, I remember my village used not to have any good drinking water, so we're virtually drinking from the river. And so when I see people polluting our rivers, it's very, very, very worrying. Yes, I listened to all the discussions. Most especially, my attention was on the CEO of the Mineral Commission and that of my good friend from Forestry Commission. We are all trying to run away from the issues. And it is time, if indeed we want to tackle this problems that we are faced with as a country. All of us, when I say all of us, all the stakeholders, right from the minister, the president, the CEO of Minerals Commission, Forestry Commission, EPA, Parliament, all of us, we have failed our people. We have failed as leaders. We must admit that we have failed. Then we start looking out for solutions. But if it is all the time we discuss, of course, you don't expect the CEO to come and tell you what he didn't do right. You don't expect Forestry Commission to tell you what he didn't do right. You don't expect me, as a member of Parliament on Lands and Forestry Committee, we have an oversight responsibility on the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources. You don't expect me to stand here to tell us that we, as a committee, we have failed. But the truth is, we have failed.
Okay.
I listened to the CEO of Minerals Commission. He says that before they issue licenses to any company, first of all, especially into a forest reserve, they first of all look out to see if the company has gotten permit from the Forestry Commission. Last year, there was an issue, and I took it upon myself together with Sweeney when the Minister for Natural Resources came out to say that during his tenure, he at that time had never granted any permit to any mining company to go into a forest reserve to mine. I have intercepted a letter, and I was surprised. All of us here, we've been complaining about the bureaucracy system. Go to Lands Commission, go to any of the public sector, processing a document. Sometimes it takes you several months to get it, right? But a company applied to Forestry Commission to get entry permit into one of the forest reserve at Bibiani. Yes, I can share with you.
Okay.
And funny enough, the letter was written on 19th May 2022. By 20th May, a permission was granted, entry permit was granted to that company to enter into a forest reserve. Less than 24 hours.
Okay.
And Forestry Commission granted the permission based on the fact that Minerals Commission, at the time that company was applying to Forestry Commission for entry permit, Minerals Commission had already given the licenses to the company to mine in the forest reserve. And so I was surprised hearing my elder brother saying that they don't grant such permit. They always, I don't know, probably I did not get you right, but that's what I heard. And so it is time for us to own out.
Okay.
And if it is,
you have to be wrapping up,
yes.
please.
So what I want to say here is that the problem of these illegal miners, nobody should blame any foreigner, Chinese. No Chinese nationality anywhere knows where Bibiani is. It is we the politicians, it is we the CEOs, those occupying those offices. We are the same people that bring these people into our country and hand over those reserves.
You have a radical solution that we can
So
take
the
going
radical
forward.
solution is, it is time, just as Joy is doing, I would want to call on all the media houses. We should start naming all politicians. Let's name them and shame them. I was listening to my good brother, what's his name, the journalist of the year. He says that he knows one big man, but he wouldn't mention the name. It is time he should start mentioning the names.
Okay.
This is the right time for us to start. So if you say you don't mention the names,
microphone from you now.
so how
Thank
are you going to get it solved?
Okay. Honorable Suparu, thank you so much.
My uncle mentioned names in the report. He's been threatened by court case. I can tell you that the whole country is standing with you. That case will not go anywhere. Okay. It is time for us to start naming and shaming them so that the people of this country will rally behind those who will start, mentioning the name. We should not be afraid. We should be bold because the country belongs to all of us.
Okay.
It doesn't belong to any individual who's occupying a position somewhere.
Thank you so much, Honorable Supari. We are grateful for your time. And we have the administrative assistant to Rashid Pelfo also. You give us a radical solution as well. Briefly, please. Briefly.
My name is Kwatia Nuruddin Abubakar Betes, administrative assistant to the ranking member for Lands and Natural Resources in Parliament, Dr. Alhaji Rashid Hassan Pelfo, who is in faraway Dubai. I'm also the convener for the Friends of Democracy Ghana, a civil society organization whose mandate is also to ensure that issues like this are brought to the fore and we look for solutions. Indeed, I want to say emphatically here that I am sad this evening. I am in a state of melancholy because seeing the video this evening has put shivers through my spines, and I ask myself, are we really serious about this country? And I want to say here and now that it's high time we do away with our usual binary banter between the MPP and the NDC and come together as a collective to fight this canker and this animal called illegal mining.
So for you, collective. You should come together.
And in fighting it, we have to look at leadership. We have to look at attitudinal change. We have to look at commitment. And we can't talk about leadership without talking about the president. Because pursuant to Article 257, Chapter 21 of the 1982 Constitution, our mineral resources are at the... the president is in charge of it. It's in trust for the people of Ghana. So currently as we speak, what is the president's role relative to ensuring that illegal mining is done away?
Okay, but
in 2017, in conclusion,
I have to go.
In conclusion,
I'm sorry, I have to go. Let me take more. My time is up. I'm being signaled, so I need to take solutions at this point. You've given me one solution. It's been noted. Professor Frimpong Boateng, I'm coming to you at this point. I'll come to Minister Fuseni also. Gentleman in white, I've seen your hand up. If you all want to speak, let me give you a minute each. If you're promised to stick to it, then we'll take it. Only solutions. I know we are all sad at this point. Radical solutions. Professor Frimpong Boateng, let me come to you.
As far as I'm concerned, the issue is very simple. If influential people in society will stop engaging or promoting this, the thing will stop. It will not take 1 week to stop it. Politicians, business people, chieftaincy, and all those who are engaged in it and promoting in one way or the other, lawyers and so on, if they should stop. You see, in my report, I don't like talking. So I was commissioned to write a report, which I did and handed over. And for 2.5 years, nothing happened. I started talking when people started blaming me for the report. But Minerals Commission, the regulatory agencies, I think if we say the coordination is perfect, I disagree with that. Because that is why even our committee was set up, so that the coordination among the agencies will be strengthened.
Did your committee fix that?
Yes, in a way, but we were not successful. The Inspector Division of Minerals Commission at that time was non-functional. I don't know, I think now it's maybe better. Forestry Commission, EPA, Water Resources Commission, these are the 4 agencies that have to agree to grant mining licenses to people. And the process starts from Minerals Commission because it's the biggest. But then when we met the small-scale miners, we saw that it took them a long time to get licenses. That is why the Galam Stop software was established. Minerals Commission signed on to it reluctantly. Forestry Commission refused to sign on to it. EPA did, and Water Resources Commission. So,
Prof, I'm sorry, I hate to rush you, but I'm taking radical solutions at this point.
So the radical solution is that people, big people, including journalists who are involved, should stop. And then,
How do we make them stop? How do we make them stop?
I wish maybe we could shoot them all them up. I don't know. We
can shoot to kill is what you're proposing. Prof, are you proposing a shoot-to-kill approach? Okay. All right. The gentleman in white, I'll take yours 1 minute, and then I'll go to Yunus Afuseni, and I'll come to you. You have the microphone. I'm sorry I didn't see you. I'm so sorry. I'll come to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Isaac James Alote. I represent the ordinary Ghanaian here.
Thank you.
Yes, I come here. I'm not I don't have all those degrees in this. I'm not a specialist.
You are welcome.
In
it's for you as well.
Yes.
What do you propose can be done?
Now, I grew up in a village where we drink from the river. So I know, what we are in now. And I think the radical solution is that we should stop every small-scale mining now for some years. And then find a solution. Because frankly, you don't kill your children to eat because you are hungry. Where we have reached, it is dangerous. Very, very dangerous.
Okay.
And if we don't take care, I know NDC and MPP, they will play politics with it. But they have failed us.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Honorable Yunus Afuseni, but before Inusa, we'll come to the gentleman there. His hand has been up. There's a gentleman at the back also. So 3 comments, and then I'll come to the podium. Then we can wrap up in terms of solution. Okay.
Yeah, I'm Godwin Amaya with the Ghana National Association of Small-Scale Miners.
Great.
Yeah, I would like to correct. You said something that the small-scale mining sector, the LI does not look at it. The LI, I think 2182. If you look at the sections, let's look at 14.
Godwin, I will appreciate radical solutions
I'll
at this
get
point.
there.
Please, I beg you.
Look, the regulation and the issue of safety for small-scale mining, how to use everything is spelled out there. So just look at the regulation. No, it's not large scale. Small scale is there.
So this is what I'm trying to avoid at this point. We want solutions.
Just look at it again.
We want
but
solutions.
For the solution, you cannot work, or if you don't understand the system, there's no way you'll be able to affect it in terms of finding solutions to it. So I will encourage that we work with the small scale miners, because we've collaborated with the Interministerial, with Minerals Commission, with even Rastos has worked with us. And for the Brim River, we did what we call community enforcement approach, where the small-scale miners are task force, with the support of Minerals Commission and resources from within, we were able to reduce the debility level of the Brim River, starting from the source, from 2,400 to 50 in a week. Do you understand? Because
so collaboration with the small-scale miners is the way to go.
The Enyinem Bridge area, we stopped the illegal miners there. We asked them to reclaim, because we don't believe that you seize the excavators and put them somewhere. Okay. Those pits are open. So we asked them to reclaim. And we used the same illegal miners who dug the pits as solution. Okay. By a week, they were able to reclaim. So we need to work with the operators and the illegal miners themselves, so that we get a solution. Because you cannot dig a pit, leave it for government to go and search for money, and come and reclaim. Those who are mining, the illegal operators, are known in the communities.
Okay, so that's your solution, Godwin. Thank you. The gentleman in grey at the back there, your hand has been up for some time now. Please. The microphone is coming to you, and please be brief, please.
Okay. Me da se me mine na manka bia me ka twi. Na de wo mu say me di yaw pa na me hu say me wo wrong place. Mpanimfo mo ka say nyina nye miners. Na obetumi obesiden na wa solve problem. Sabi wonye wundo koko, wo so koko fo anya asemti. O ko na wa kwa solve koko fo ase.
Na wo ye galamsey and now yes small scale mining. Okay.
Na de titire nso ye kasa. Omo buba yina abrofa kese nko so obi kura hwe TV mpo obesi dem mpo na wate ye kana se misan so Mr. Resos video yi yare ni ade nyina no esen ko mudi kotwi na obi ti won se me dem nsa kan mercury na yare we ba ya na
se so nim Adom TV a station. So we have a local channel which we are also doing another dialogue like that in Chi. And you know, we take care of all the local languages and then English as well. And then the nanka ye brofo, the patch of a chain, so one TBBA, but and ne ye brofo. You be Chi dear so.
You Martin, Zikaka mechanic say, Mr. Yeah, minus no, ye problem.
Okay.
It's a most ye.
I say, young problem is a national problem.
But ye doso. Yena some no way, yena ye jumano. It is a one to me involve ye, say small scale miners no. Okay. Metran ye na ye no ntra. Now cophobia, what coboni degree be nadia, because omo way, omo ye jumani bi. And so many site. Okay. Omuni boys bia, omo ye juma. How were the blending abe in omudi omunim? Timesre say echo forward no. Omonfa ye ni miners ni bi. Underground now you say your problem in the city no. Okay. Solve problem.
Okay. Thank you. So he's calling for collaboration as well. From the podium or from the audience, I'll just take the last one for Minister of Sini, please, so I can take from the panelists. We really have to wrap up at this point.
My plea to Dr. Kenasibe and probably the lecturer Lagos, escalate the fight, make it civil, community level. There are many good people more than the bad people. Get them to defend their lands. Government has failed. Let's defend our lands.
Okay. Well, let's come to the podium. Aula, I'm so sorry. We know we always interact, so we'll take it. But let me come to the podium at this point. Dr. Mantiao, I'll take your radical solutions, then we can get the communique, then we can wrap up.
Sure. So my radical solution, I think, has been voiced by a few of the earlier speakers. I think we need to we have accepted, or we need to acknowledge that we have failed. That has been said. But then I don't like the idea of naming and shaming. I want naming, arresting, and prosecuting. Okay. You know, we name and shame, and they still walk around and do it. Name, arrest, and then prosecute. I work in climate change. My background is in climate change. And over here, we've talked about mining, Galamsey. We haven't mentioned the impact of climate change on water resources. You know, climate change manifests in water, either the lack of it or the excess of it. So while we are going about exploring solutions, we should also be looking at this through the lens of climate change. I also agree that we need to take up the war as civil. Our leaders have failed, and Ken and his group probably will need to revive that fight, and then we, the people, must lead the fight. Okay. Thank you.
Dr. Ashibe.
Well, thank you very much. So, one, I think some of the solutions, the chiefs are beginning to show that to us. The president should hold the people who he's put in charge accountable. It starts first from the assemblies. The DCE, the MCE, are the DISEC, MUSEC chairpersons. They are the mining committee chairpersons. The question that we should be asking now is that since the president met them, how many of these assemblies still have galamsey happening in their community? All of those people should be held accountable. It has to be escalated to even the regional ministers. And also those of them in parliament. Unfortunately, the parliamentarians have left us. There are some parliamentarians, either on the left or on the right, who have galamsey happening in their communities. We need to start holding those people accountable. So that's one of the first things that we need to do. I think the issue of collaboration and working together with everybody is important. But we should also bear in mind, minus, you are not the only people who are dying. So please, don't even go there. We also have a skin in the game. And so we will talk. And we all need to start getting a lot more. And so our churches, our imams. So when you talk about only the journalists getting up and start talking, we also need civil society bodies, apart from those few of us who are in here, to mainstream the issue of this illegal mining. We don't want the situation again coming next year, where we'll start hearing people go and say, when we come, we'll allow you to mine. That has to stop. We need to let the politicians know that stopping illegal mining is a no-no, and we are not going to accept it. The point we should bear in mind is that 30 million, we are not, so if you say even 60 million voters, 3 million, let's say all of them are voters. 30 million voters, we are more than them. So we should not allow them to start dictating the pace.
The next thing we need to start doing, the media as well, leadership of the media. I have left formal media. How come I'm still convener of the media coalition? So I'm calling on the leadership of the media. This job is not a job that is going to pay you.
You mean the GJA?
Not only just the GJA,
Okay.
not a formal leadership.
Okay.
I'm talking about, at least, okay, for multimedia, I see you championing it. The state-owned media. Where are the editors? Where are the managing directors of the state-owned media? GBC, Graphic, Times, where are they? We need to see the influential media leaders deciding to take this and going back again to the fight. So that's also very important.
Okay.
Another thing that is important is one thing that also my brother mentioned. We need to now insist that small-scale mining would only happen in places that we've done the surveys in, and that the trimaquare that we are doing would have to stop.
Okay.
That should we, and finally, my senior brother AC says that there's no law that says you can't mine in forest reserves. We should insist that Parliament passes a law that places of global, what did they even say? Global significant biodiversity areas should not be mined at. So we should ensure that there is an explicit law that says that that should not happen.
Okay.
And finally, let's take the example of what has happened to Aishawan and make sure that the examples that we know of, Akonta mining, Heritage Imperial, some of these significant people who have been named for which there are evidence, we need to deal with them. And I'll urge the Attorney General that in the country where we have passed the law for whistleblowers, the report that was done by the former Minister for Lands and for Environment, they should treat it as the same way they would treat even a whistleblower. And make sure that the powers of state that they have to be able to investigate, they should investigate it at least. And there should be a lot of transparency in the investigation of it. And let's make sure that anybody who does the wrong is punished.
Okay.
And please, I am not one of those who advocate for blanket ban on small-scale mining. We did that the last time, and it did not work. So those who are working well, let's allow them to work well, but let's make sure that the rules work against those who are doing the wrong things.
Dr.
Thank
Ashby,
you.
thank you. Easy. Your radical solution. So we wrap up.
Radical, I have three.
Or you have solution.
No,
not
I
radical.
have radical three. One which many of you are oblivious of, for me, which I think is 99.9% of the problem. But let me start with the one that most of you have touched on. You see, here's a picture I have of 6 Chinese. You can see them. They were just picked by the military just 2 days ago in an area in Ashanti. Okay? So this one, just 2 days ago, okay, it was sent to me when there was an operation that was conducted by the military. These are 6 or so Chinese. The question is, how did they get here? How did they enter this place? But then, here's what must happen. We need to see more of the Aisha one. Okay? That's number one. So this one like this, they have to be arrested, taken to the trial, and then we must see that people are being punished. That's number one. And not just the foreigners. The chief that was mentioned last week, that he was involved. Remember some time ago, there was a chief in such an area that we don't know what has happened to him. Then the chief at Abontindom of Odan, okay, where the military came, they approached him, and then he said, "Hi, media. The case is now being prosecuted at the Kofodia High Court.
Okay.
We want to find out what is happening." So the punitive measures must be enhanced. I mean, they must be made more punitive, and the public might see. So, for example, we see this chief that is being mentioned in the papers that was arrested by the Forestry Commission. Trust me. You see, if he's not dealt with, of course, by law, and the community that he is there doesn't see that he's gone to jail. I'm a chief myself, continue of my village. Oh, Nana cry. 1 week, 2 weeks, the Bejano.
Okay.
So the community there, you see, impunity is also contributing. So, but I will put all that together. But let me come to something that most of you don't know of. Maybe some of you know. And that will circle me back to my introductory remarks. The activity is being conducted in 13 regions. If you ask me from where I sit, 21 years at Minerals Commission, you know the biggest solution to Galamsey. Okay? What I'm trying to say is, don't get me wrong, the enforcement mechanisms must continue. Keep arresting them, keep naming, keep putting them in jail, go and pick them from the rata body, etc. Trust me, if you do all these things, you can only bring it to the barest what? Minimum. Okay? Picking the excavator and all those things. If we are not able to get a place for the miners to work, quote me 100 times, forget it.
Okay. Well, Mr. Brown.
So the fundamental issue is getting a place for the miners to work in the 13 regions. How do you do that? We got to put money and geologically investigate all these blocks we have designated. I see that for the first time within the last 2 years, we are trying to do something like that with this heavy amount of money being debated in Parliament now for the budget. We should have done this 34 years of inaction. So we can write all the theses. We can discuss everything from Afghanistan to Zimbabwe. The problem will not be solved, will not go away if you don't get the place for the miners to work. For me, that is the number one problem. And I would say it is 99.9. The other 100 solutions, you know how you are taught mathematics, one significant figure, then it becomes 100%.
Yes. What I then, the Chamber of Mines are promising us, we'll do this again. So briefly, Mr. Brown, you have the final word on the radical
briefly,
solution.
MFA, I think to come up with solutions, viable solutions, you need to understand what the problem is. Why are we where we are? And I think some of the key root problems is the high rate of unemployment in these rural areas, linked with poverty. And then, coupled with weak law enforcement, we have government institutions who are either not operating at the full capacity or incapacitated in one way or the other. You have the judiciary, you have the police, etc. And I think that all these need to be factored into the solution. And I believe going forward, we need to see how best, first of all, number one, we can strengthen law enforcement. How we can get all these sectors who are supposed to be there to enforce the laws and undertake prosecutions to work in tandem. We need to identify and implement alternative livelihood schemes. This has been said several times, and now we have this NILEP that is trying to find alternative livelihoods. We should create green jobs. We could go into either agro-processing or some other forms, but we need to create jobs. If we don't have alternatives for them, then we are in trouble. And then we need to continuously engage and sensitize. We need to carry out repair, reclamation, and reforestation of the lost vegetation. But under getting all this is law enforcement. If law enforcement doesn't work, then making a choice between continuing in illegality or moving to an alternative livelihood becomes very difficult. You need law enforcement to push them. Because invariably, many of the proposals that have come forward in terms of alternative livelihood, they do not measure in terms of the returns from mining. But if law enforcement is strong, then they may think twice before getting involved in it. And I believe that in this, we should always try the big stick ideology. You speak softly, but carry a big stick. That's the only way you can go forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen and ladies, for joining us as part of this whole discussion. At this point, I'd like to invite the team. Maybe before I invite the team, let's give ourselves a huge round of applause for getting all the radical solutions and raising all the issues. And like I was saying, Water Aid and Chamber, we'll do this again. Okay, we'll definitely do that again. But let me invite the team at this point to bring us all the solutions. They'll give us a summary of everything that we've done so that we know that this is the action point that we are dealing with. And Benjamin Akakpo is the host of the AM show, joining us with all the solutions that we put together. And going forward, we'll hold each other accountable for all that we've said today, here and now, and going forward. Mm-hmm.
May the people are watching us across Ghana.
Give it up
Thank
for
you.
Joy News and Water Aid.
I'm getting
And
messages all over the place in this small room. So keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Acy. Ms. Akakwo, take us away.
MFA, so this dialogue, we know very well what it stands for and what it represents for our collective interests. So these, before I get to those solutions or resolutions, the preamble to this entire event. Illegal mining activities known locally as Galamsey have wrought unprecedented damage to Ghana's lush forest reserves. Over the past 2 decades, Ghana has lost more than 1.5 million hectares, yes, of tree cover on the back of illegal mining, representing about 22% of total tree cover. Joy News' Poison for Gold documentary also highlights the extreme conditions, if I may. Let's get to this. All right, so I think there's a bit of a freeze here. I'll quickly get that sorted out. If I may get some assistance from Tony, please come forward and assist me. This is a computer that I am not very familiar with, so it may have some challenges in there. Let's do this very quickly. Thank you very much. So Joy News' Poison for Gold documentary also highlights the extreme conditions of water bodies, having about 10 of them containing heavy metals which can be detrimental to the health of the ordinary Ghanaian. 10 of them. Research conducted by the Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime has highlighted the scale of the Galamsey issue, indicating that approximately 200,000 individuals are engaged directly in these activities, while nearly 3 million people, it depends on where you get your estimates from, depend on Galamsey for their livelihoods. The economic toll has been exacerbated by the fact that in 2016 alone, an estimated $2.3 million worth of gold left the country illegally. And one thing that has boggled my mind from time to time is the fact that you can actually hear from time to time. Tony, you may have to come back. I think you should just stay with me. I don't know why when I skip forward it doesn't go. But from time to time you would hear of estimates where some countries tell you that their imports of gold from Ghana alone are X amount, and yet in its entirety, what we claim to be our exports would be a different figure. So now, skipping the preamble, a portion of the preamble, and coming to the objectives. The primary objective of this national dialogue has been to showcase the extent of environmental damage through the documentary, Poison for Gold. To foster informed dialogue among government officials, environmental agencies, mining industry representatives, and community leaders, some of whom we have seated here. Generate actionable solutions and commit to policy initiatives that protect and rehabilitate affected areas. Now, after exhaustive discussions and extensive deliberations on illegal mining in Ghana, the National Dialogue all of us came up with the following recommendations. 1, the fight against illegal mining, or Galamsey to be specific, should be a call to action, not just talking. We should pursue actionable solutions. The Chamber of Mines commits to continue advocating sustainable mining practices, advocating for sustainable mining practices. There's an acknowledgement of illegal mining as a challenge while exploring avenues for responsible small-scale mining, fostering growth. Again, government and other stakeholders should address the impact on river basins. And we know for a fact that most river basins in Ghana are adversely affected by Galamsey. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture is also roped in. It should cultivate crops like sunflower and broccoli in mining areas, since they are known for extracting toxic substances, and this should be done in cycles. Another resolution, to recognize the inadequacy of the Forestry Commission to combat Galamsey. I repeat, to recognize the inadequacy of the Forestry Commission in combating Galamsey, and to support the Forestry Commission with military assistance. Investigate the root causes of illegal mining and trace excavators back to their buyers. That, for some reason, has proven pretty difficult. Then again, the middle class should be vigorously involved in the collaborative efforts to fighting the menace. And that is part of why we are so happy today, getting many of you middle class coming to join this conversation today. There is also the need to take collective responsibility. The fight against illegal mining requires active involvement from the people, holding leaders accountable. Listening in, coming here, I heard the talk about the fact that we must break it down so that everyone understands that this is our problem. It's not Asemesi's problem. It's not one person's problem. It's our collective problem. Highlight the involvement of powerful individuals in society and advocate for a people-driven approach as institutions face limitations. Then again, emphasize public leadership in the fight against illegal mining. Don't wait for government's intervention. Utilize documentaries, videos, and pictures to expose the real dangers of Galamsey and change public perception, which is part of what we have done with our network and this dialogue. Then again, allocate more funds to research. Understanding the risks of Galamsey and finding solutions is cost-intensive but essential. So which one do we want? Would we rather invest in it or wait till we all collectively go down the proverbial rabbit hole? The Forestry Commission should collaborate with district assemblies and chiefs in the fight against illegal mining. And I think I'll repeat that because I heard the Forestry Commission should collaborate with district assemblies and chiefs in the fight against illegal mining. No one will be left behind. Allocate more resources to research for a comprehensive understanding of Galamsey risks and effective solution development. At this point, Galamsey is too big to be left in the hands of the central government. It is the people's war. I believe it was the member of parliament on that committee who made mention of it. It is too big to be left in the hands of central government. It is the people's war. Improve institutional coordination and actively enhance collaboration among relevant institutions to ensure a more effective response to Galamsey challenges. And again, to conclude on this bit, as stakeholders, we need to bring our A game on board. Now, in terms of the core of everything that we're talking about, there are a few more to elaborate on. One, everyone needs to be involved and identify what they can do. The researchers, the enforcers, and even those involved in Galamsey. And I dare say those of you seated here today. There must be effective collaboration between the Minerals Commission, Lands Commission, EPA, and the Ghana Water Company Limited. For us media houses, we should name and shame all politicians involved in this problem. The whole country is standing behind Professor Frimpong Boateng. That was a comment that was made, one of the, should I say, the statements of fact at this gathering. We should put away partisan conversations and work collectively to solve this problem. God help us. We should also involve the local communities and small-scale miners in the task force to deal with illegal mining. So starting from the grassroots. Again, we need to acknowledge that we have failed. Naming and shaming is not adequate. We should name, arrest, and prosecute those engaged in illegal mining. For effect, I will repeat that. We need to acknowledge that we have failed. Naming and shaming is not adequate. We should name, arrest, and prosecute those engaged in illegal mining. Accountability starts from the district and local communities. The president should hold them accountable. After all, the DC, the MC, and others are representatives of the president in those communities. The civil society should mainstream the issue. The media should take a more active role in this fight. Legislative reforms for forest reserves should, be embarked upon. Advocate for laws prohibiting mining in forest reserves to address environmental concerns. The Attorney General should ensure that all those found culpable are dealt with appropriately. We also need another thing we profit. We need to prosecute more of the kingpins, queenpins, financiers involved in illegal mining, both local and foreign, as well as the traditional authorities involved. Then, invest in alternative livelihoods for miners involved in illegal mining. When they stop mining, what do they go to? How are we rehabilitating them? We should also tackle unemployment and strengthen law enforcement. So to conclude, there are many things we've discussed here. To conclude, the Poison for Gold dialogue is more than just an event. It is set to create awareness about the environmental harms of illegal mining in Ghana. Nowhere else, in Ghana. It will serve as a platform for the development of viable solutions and will foster strong partnerships among various stakeholders, all united in their commitment to address this urgent issue. The question then is, if not now, then when? And if not us, then whom? MFA, back to you.
Thank you very much, Benjamin Akako and the team, the research team making this possible. So at least it's available. It will be on myjoyonline.com. This whole dialogue will also be live. It's also available on all our social media platforms, myjoyonline.com. At this point, I'd like to say a big thank you to WaterAid. A big thank you to the Chamber of Mines. We are indeed grateful for this. And to the entire team at the Joy Newsroom, Joy News, Joy FM, and all the Joy brands. Really, I can't begin to name them, but they know themselves, the brains behind the national dialogue. And it will be happening again. You should look out for all the things that we'll be doing going forward. Mr. Ashibi has challenged us. And so we are also challenging you that anytime we call on you, you will be there for us so that we can talk about all the issues and hold ourselves accountable. Many thanks to you all. Professor Frimpong Boateng, we are grateful. Mr. Fuseni and all our partners. Once again, to WaterAid and Chamber of Mines, we are indeed grateful. Thank you so much. So live from the Omanye Hall, also on Joy News on Joy 99.7 FM, we bring to the end of the National Dialogue on illegal mining right here in Accra. Many thanks for your company. Also available on myjoyonline.com. I am Emefa Apau on behalf of the entire team. Many thanks for being a part of it. Another edition comes your way another time.